This episode contains language not suitable for anyone under the age of 18, unless you allow your children to listen to that. Now, a couple of ads, and then we will get on to the episode where I chat with Coco Bond about the 1998 classic, The Truman Show. Premiering fall 2024, Dirty Laundry is a coming-of-age story about truth and friendship set in 1997. After a mysterious stranger interrupts their laundry routine with words of wisdom and a random magic trick, best friends Kyle and Eric find themselves incapable of lying. In the vein of Liar Liar and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they work together to break the spell. They discover how much is at stake when the truth comes out. Check out dirtylaundry2024.com for more details about the film. Do you like the absurd? Have a hankering for the bizarre? Think breakfast is the most important meal of the day? Check out the art of Zach Blackwell, creator of Serial Demon Comics. In the city of New Manoa, gods, men, and insect alike live together. One of the smallest burrows is home to Serial Demon, a being with the power to control all breakfast cereals, and friends like Emo Cheese and Flea Man. He will fight to earn the respect for a small corner of the city. Not all are eager to see his ascension, though. Find this, paintings, comics, and more at Serial Demon Comics. We are now recording.
Brilliant, awesome.
It's okay. Everyone calls me like Hezekiah, Isaac. Like I've been called everything but my name, so I'm used to it.
Okay, Isaiah.
Isaiah. It's
Isaiah.
okay. I'll roll with it. I'll roll with it. I don't
You
care.
tell me when I'm wrong, because I will get it wrong. Just tell me to shut up.
No, you're good.
Awesome. Well, I've got all my notes written, but I will forget them, so I'll try and save them all.
No, we'll just do this naturally. Whatever topic we want to cover, just go ahead and take charge.
Sounds brilliant. Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, hey, always welcome guests. It's really hard to get guests. They're always like, I don't know. And I'm like, come on, guys.
It's fun. It's fun. I mean, you got the Summer of Soul producer coming. Like, that's a big deal.
Yes, I don't know how I managed that.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So, we're talking about The Truman Show. Fantastic film. I love it. So, first introduce yourself to the listeners. Who are you? What got you into cinema?
Great. My name's Coco Bond, and I'm a film student at the moment, but soon I'll just be a regular filmmaker. But I got into cinema when I was about 14 or 15, just through the normal gateway films. And now I'm too deep to come back out. So this is a permanent thing now. I will be dying a cinephile. So yeah, it's great to be able to chat to another film lover and go through a great film.
Yes. So what were your gateway films? Just like name some examples.
I know it's a big one, but Reservoir Dogs was the first film where I realized I had to pay attention sometimes, where I can't just sit back and enjoy it. I have to actually focus to understand the structure, because it was the first film I saw that wasn't in order, other than just maybe your flashback or flash forward. It was actually entirely out of sequence, and that non-linearity made me sit up and realize that changing the context of a scene made it so much more interesting. And from there, it went to like Goodfellas and the other sort of staple films, then into foreign language, and it's just gotten worse and worse.
Yeah. I have not seen Reservoir Dogs, which is a shame because I am an hour and a half away from Knoxville, which is where Quentin Tarantino was born.
No way. I mean, you seem to have seen everything. I'm glad I didn't spoil the film.
No, I already know about it. Like, for me, if a film is spoiled, I can still watch it and get, I'm not really like, oh my gosh, when's this? The only one was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I was glad because I've never been so anxious in a film. But other than that, Spoilers don't bother me because I still have the same experience, so that's good.
That's funny. I remember my a friend of mine. I was saying about how he must watch Inglourious Bastards. Have you seen that?
Sadly, no.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to spoil it, so I'm not going to say what I was about to say. Okay. Fight Club, which we shouldn't really talk about. Have you seen that?
I do own these. I just really haven't got to them yet.
You'll get to them soon.
Yeah,
Okay, I won't spoil that one either. But some big films that I ought to have seen and hadn't, and then just spoiled for me. So
I have seen Goodfellas though. That's fantastic.
absolutely, absolutely, it's what I compare every gangster film to now. Like, why can't I be Goodfellas? So, what were your gateway films? I'm keen to hear about
Okay, so they were Toy Story 3 when I was, I want to say 7 when it came out.
that. Yeah,
And it really got me into animation. I had the DVD for my birthday. That was back when DVDs were released like a year later instead of 2 months down the road.
yeah. We're the same age then.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So it's really rare. There's no one our age that's really into cinema, which is an absolute shame.
It's interesting. It really is because
Yeah,
hopefully in 20, 30 years, everyone else on our generation will be. But there's a real disconnect to it.
there is. Um, but it was Toy Story 3. I had the DVD and I watched the movie because every child's obsessed with one film. And then I ended up finding the bonus features, which was a terrible thing because my sister's watching it with me. She's like, "I don't want to know how this movie's made," and I'm just eating it up.
Yeah.
And then I just taught myself how to draw. I'm like, "I'm gonna do this. This is fun." And then I later on I found out it's too much math involved, and I'm not strong with math, so I said, "Screw that."
No, I have no understanding of animation on a technical level. It's just a mystery to me.
And then it was, I don't know, probably E.T. because one of them. It's back when Netflix still had the DVDs and they
Yeah.
weren't a streaming service yet.
Oh,
That
wow.
was
I can see you're a Spielberg fan in the background.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you haven't even seen my dislike.
Oh, wow, that's a
That's
big
one side,
collection.
and then in front of me is another shelf just completely full. Yeah, I have them everywhere.
That's
I
brilliant.
love my physical media. Uh,
I have no DVDs in my room. They're all in our
oh
living
yeah,
room.
I'm kind of an addict though. I'm just like I have to, like if I see a film and I love it, I have to have it. I'm just like because one day if I
Definitely.
cancel all my streaming subscriptions or if they're not on streaming, you'll always have them. That's what I always say, but they don't listen to that.
And what's more, no one will ever censor it for
Yes,
you or
that's
change
the
it or
best part. It's
recut
not
it.
edited for television.
You've got it. Yeah, absolutely. Or recropped
Yes.
or anything. It's just you have the original, or the directors,
Yeah.
whatever. You have that cut that is
But
timeless.
Casablanca was also another gateway film. I saw it. I got it from the
Yeah.
library. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this movie. It's on the greatest list, whatever. Oh my gosh, it's my number one favorite of all time. It's just
Really?
everyone's like it's a romance, but I'm like, guys, what movie were you watching? It's a movie about not it's not a love story. It's after the love story. It's about self-sacrifice, doing what's right for the greater good of man and not, what's for yourself. And everyone calls it a romance and I get mad because I'm like, guys, this is not a romance. It tops every romance list known to man. I'm like, guys, seriously. The themes are self-sacrifice and winning the war, not screwing everything up and just for
It's
romance.
interesting. I put this on Casablanca on my best romance films list because I'd argue that it is a war film. It's about self-sacrifice, but it's for someone he does love. But you're right; it's for the greater good. Ultimately, he's a conformist. He doesn't stick his neck out for anyone, and then he sticks his neck out for the person he loves. But you are right; it's ultimately about him trying to help someone to better the war
Yeah, it's
efforts,
just
which is
I'm
quite
just like
interesting.
always so kind of annoyed by that. But what's another? There's one more gateway film I'm trying to think. This was actually recently. I watched
Mm.
it and I was blown away. Broadcast news.
I hadn't heard
Oh,
of it.
it's fantastic. It's Holly Hunter, Albert Brooks, William Hurt, Joan Cusack, Jack Nicholson, just a small part. It's fantastic. And they also say that's a romance, and I'm like, guys, it's
Is it a broadcasting news?
broadcast news. 1987, directed by James L. Brooks, I believe. Yes,
Gotcha.
it's a
Yeah.
fantastic film. I don't have the Criterion, I have the regular DVD, but it's a really good one.
It's now on my watch
You've
list,
got to
so I'll
watch
get
it.
around to it. I have I think it's 4,800 films on my list.
I don't.
So.
I'm like so spontaneous. I'm like, I'm gonna like last night I watched the Truman Show, but then I finished To Die For with the Gus Van Sant film with Nicole Kidman. That was
Hmm.
a good one.
Haven't seen that one.
I
As-
just bought the Criterion after I watched it. I'm like, yep, must own.
That's permanently yours.
Yeah, it should be here next week. But
Brilliant.
okay, the Truman Show. Where were you when you first watched this film, or like, what impact did it have on you?
I was at my partner's house, and it was at a time when I was just going through every Best Director, Screenplay kind of like nominee at the Oscars, and it came up, and I thought, "There's no way a Jim Carrey comedy," because I thought it was a comedy, is a Best Director nominee, and it isn't good. And then I saw a 4.2 rating, and I thought it must be all right. And my partner loves Jim Carrey. She fell asleep, but I watched it and wasn't particularly interested for the first 50 minutes, and then the reveal of the scale of the show happened with that where it cuts to the interview with Christoph. At that point, I leant forward, and then I was gripped until the end, and it made me think about conformity and the guiltiness of being a voyeur and film production, media control. It's so dense. I think it is one of the most dense films. So I'm glad you picked it. I can't think of a film really with so much to say about conformity through an allegory. That's the interesting thing. Is it isn't just. I'm not going to spoil Fight Club, but Fight Club is about conformity in a sense, and other films obviously all about parent and teenager kind of relations. But with this film showing how you are forced, and it really pushes that argument that there is no free will, which I don't necessarily agree with, but it made me very aware of all of that. But I was at home, at my partner's home, watching on a TV, which didn't do it justice. What was the first time you watched it?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I was at my local library, and like you, oh my gosh, I love the Oscars, so I'm just going through. Yes. So I'm just like ripping through all the films, and I'm just like, I'm the same as you. I'm like, oh, the Truman Show, I hear good things about it. I should watch it. So I get it, my mom and I are just alone, and we get lunch, like takeout. We just sit there. I had no idea what it's about. I was clueless. But the
That's
first
great.
minute in, I was hooked, but I was just like, what is this? And why haven't I seen this before? It was just,
It's such an
yes,
anomaly, isn't
and
it?
I don't like. It's arguably one of the greatest of all time. Like
I think
yeah,
so.
like you said, it's a dense film, but like the screenplay itself is just dense. It's just
It's
and
remarkable. It taps into
and
everything.
speaking of Oscars, I'm so mad. Shakespeare in Love beat this at the Oscars for original screenplay. And I've seen Shakespeare in
It's
Love.
insane.
It's not as good as the Truman Show. I mean,
It's
yes,
entertaining.
but it's not like you said, is dense. Like
It's not challenging.
no,
I'm amazed it was even nominated for Best Picture, really, because the lineup was great that year. I mean, I think that Life is Beautiful could have won, or Saving Private Ryan. Everyone says, why didn't Saving Private Ryan won? It's a great film, but after the first 20 minutes, it does dip for about an hour and a half and then gets better again. Director win makes sense. Cinematography, sound editing, I get it. But I would put Truman Show and Life is Beautiful way ahead of Shakespeare in Love.
yes.
it's shocking how it only got 3 nominations, especially because it was loved at the time it came out and made loads of money. And
Carrey didn't even get a nomination. Like,
I don't
why would
understand
you?
it.
Who was the winner that year? Let me think. It was.
It was Roberto Benigni.
Oh yeah, it was Roberto Benigni.
Which I will concede is a great win. I think it's one of the earliest ever foreign language wins.
Like when he won, he walked the aisle. That's one of my favorite Oscars clips.
It's brilliant. He's ecstatic.
Yeah.
He's absolutely ecstatic. It makes me so happy.
Like, even the biggest cynic cannot, say anything bad about that, because it's just pure joy when you watch it.
Absolutely, and he's there beating out Tom Hanks,
Yes.
who is good in Saving Private Ryan. He has his monologue about being a teacher, but he had 2 Oscars at that point and got nominated 3 years later for Castaway. Can he just let Jim have his one nomination? Because
I don't understand.
I do not understand it at all.
He won the Globe, but he didn't even get considered for the Oscars.
Even worse is he won it 2 years in a row. He won it for the year after for what's it called?
Yes.
Man on the Moon? Is it called?
I haven't either, but it's a Milos Forman film, so I'm like,
yeah. So it must be good after seeing, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and
film.
Amadeus. And Amadeus, both of which are great films, but not as dense as Truman Show. Not there's any comparison there. But I don't get how Truman Show. I get why I didn't win certain things, but no nomination for picture. I mean, you could chuck out. I mean, even The Thin Red Line, which is a great film. You already have Saving Private Ryan there.
Yeah, 2 war pictures is just a bit much. No, and Life is Beautiful. That's 3 World War II pictures. We could just kind of like boot one.
And then you've got Shakespeare in Love, which is ultimately about royalty, and Elizabeth. Is it Elizabeth that got nominated?
I think it was. I had the Oscars list. Hang on, let me look at it.
Have a quick look.
I have it on my phone. That way, yes, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it. Maybe it's even better than The Truman Show. I have no idea, but I suspect it is.
But quite like the Ed Harris nomination does, I struggle with it.
Ooh, in what way?
Okay, so to me, I'm not one to say an Oscar nominated performance has to be showy or have some big monologue or anything, but his character it's not compelling to me. Like, really? I watched The Paper Chase recently, and John Houseman won for his supporting actor performance, and his character doesn't really do anything but serve as a foil for Timothy Bottom's character. But even when he's in class teaching law, and that's basically all he does in the film, it's just super strict. He's just his performance though is compelling. But like I say, for instance, like this win makes no sense. I was talking about it with a friend today. Like Joel Grey in Cabaret, why did he win the Oscar? Because
again, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I have trouble with that one. I'm not going to say anything, but like he was up against Robert De Niro, James Caan, Robert Duvall, James Caan, and Al Pacino in The Godfather, and Eddie Albert in The Heartbreak Kid. I've seen both of them.
Yeah, and also Marlon Brando should be supporting, and Al Pacino should be lead for those films.
But category fraud. We don't vote. Yeah. But seeing the other 4 performances in that category, I was like, they're more compelling. They're just Christoph as a character, I'm not attached to, because
emotionally,
I don't have any kind of connection to him, period. I'm just like, if anything, I feel more anger because he was part of a corporation that adopted a child and caused trauma and destroyed his life and created a fake world, which once he enters the real world, what's he going to think about that? His whole life was a lie. What, 30 years?
Yeah.
from birth until adulthood when he's 30. So I mean, it's just
And consider Ed Harris. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
no,
Go
no,
ahead. I
finish.
interrupted. Ed Harris got nominated for Apollo 13, which he does nothing in. Like, I mean, he
Yes, he
does.
does nothing in that. Have you seen Pollock? Okay,
No.
now Pollock, I can agree for the nomination for that. I've seen all three of Ed Harris's Oscar nominations, and that's the one I believe he should have gotten nominated for.
Okay, that's good to hear. I mean, even in A Beautiful Mind, I think he's better than Apollo 13 because there he's really dominating. He has one dimension, but he plays it to a T. I think that Ed Harris getting nominated is one of the best nominations of that year because I think he has a real mystery about him. Maybe he isn't. What was the word you used? Was it captivating?
Probably, yes.
Yeah. I think there's a real mystery about him. Is you're wondering why a man would want to do this to another human being,
Yes.
and he plays that complexity, like you said, not very showy, not very showy at all. It's very restrained, and he's gentle, he's very logical, he's very bright, but he gets so angry. He gets very angry when Truman's on the boat, and that sudden shift in character when he cuts off the air and he then almost tries to kill him. I found that shift so believable through his performance, even though the script, which is a remarkable term for the character, it could have been played very wrongly, where suddenly it's like he is a villain kind of character, but then 5 minutes later he's gently saying, "I'm the creator of the television show," so gently, my part of my brain is going, "You're kind of convincing me that this isn't evil." So as a nomination, it's great. If he'd won, I'd be a bit
Yeah.
less happy.
I think I think the winner that year was James Coburn in Affliction. It's a Paul Schrader film. Haven't seen it yet. But he was up against Robert Duvall in A Civil Action, Jeffrey Rush in Shakespeare in Love. I like that.
Who is the
Yes,
best part
I
of that
love
film?
him in
Yeah,
that film.
I would give him the Oscar.
He and Imelda Staunton, they're the best parts of that film. And then
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton in A Simple Plan. I haven't seen any of them except for Shakespeare in Love and The Truman Show. But I mean, let me think. He is a complicated character, to say the least. Like, just he. But for me, his best scene though is when he and Truman just have that intimate moment of him saying like, "Stay," the world's a wicked place. Hang on, I think I have it right here.
He says, "You can't leave, Truman," and then his mouth goes sad, just for like half a second. He's not crying. This is what I mean by restrained. Is that he's not crying at any points. He's only yelling in a couple moments when he's trying to kill him. He's not leaping with joy at any point. And when he's defeated, he just sinks into his tablet. And I do like that kind of performance where it's not, in your face or loud, if you want to call it that. It's quite interesting.
But Carrey does give the best performance in the entire film, my opinion.
It's so
It is
transformative.
big.
And
He had that 1994, just 4 years before he had the biggest heater anyone could go on. He was Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective in 1 year, and that's
yeah,
three comedies that everyone essentially loves. Like, I like Dumb and Dumber. Sometimes you need to watch a stupid film just to turn your brain
yes.
off and just
I've never looked back at it,
yeah,
but
sometimes you just need to turn your brain off. I always tell everyone that. They're like, "You're such a film snob." I'm like, "I like trash too." like,
exactly, like Zoolander is my favorite in that
oh my
comedy, no
gosh,
question.
yes, the
Before the
gas
news,
station scene's hilarious. I think about that all the time. I don't know why.
because whenever the song plays, I just go straight to
Yes,
that
it's
moment.
hilarious. But
It's just
yeah,
brilliant.
he gives the greatest performance of just a man who just wants to go to Fiji so badly because he is in love with Sylvia.
Hmm.
And you just can see throughout the whole movie everyone is just trying to stop him from going. It's just they're like, um, they send him to the island, hey, like this prospect, and he's just like, having a panic attack walking across a dock where there's like three
Yeah,
feet of water essentially.
and I wrote down about how so Weir as a director does not explain everything to you. He lets you figure out what's happening. But in that moment, you could be going as an audience member. Why would they risk him going across the water? It's obviously a test, but it's not explained to you. It doesn't cut to um, Christoph going, "Oh no, thank God he's still afraid of the water. That means we haven't got." Whereas you can just pick up on that sign, which I love. I love that it's not explained to you. You just have to look for those details. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But yeah, he's his trauma as well. It's so manipulative.
It is.
It's really
Yeah.
disturbing.
And he's wanting to get out so badly because he starts with the magazine and we don't know who Sylvia is yet. He just coughs, rips the pages, and he's just trying to build her face essentially. I watched it with my family last night because I was like, I have to do this for the pod, and there wasn't really anything else to watch. So I'm like, let's watch this. And my brother, who's 12, had not seen this before, and he was,
Brilliant.
what's going on? He just did not understand. And then as we were watching it, Truman's father, when he dies, my brother, who is 12, is like, why would they do that to set a child? He said, that's wicked. And I'm like, it is.
Oh no.
And it's just and nothing, I'm so glad nothing like that has become a sensation to us as consumers of reality television.
Not
Yeah,
literally, yeah.
yes. Oh, that would be horrible
But
if it did.
its influence is quite staggering, really. You mentioned Jim Carrey in the '90s as well. My partner spotlighted. I said, "What are your thoughts about it?" Um, because she hadn't watched it until last year. She has this lovely thing where she hears great things about a film and then avoids it just in case she gets disappointed. But she wasn't with it, and I was so pleased. And when I first watched it, I'm not a big Jim Carrey fan. I've got to say, I find him quite performative, quite unrealistic, quite hard to be emotionally connected to. And in this film, watching this for the first time, I was convinced that he can act. He isn't just being typecast, but his casting in this is so interesting. And my partner, I did not come up with this, said that because in the '90s he was known as the funny guy, audiences went expecting a comedy because of that casting. If it were a different character, different actor playing that role, they could have tapped into the comedic side of it. Obviously the bits of the advertising is just hilarious, but it's not a comedy. But he makes it comedic. His expressions when he goes, "Oh," it's Jim Carrey, but it still feels like Truman in a way that The Mask and The Cable Guy and Ace Ventura, they're all a bit silly, really. Um, and she said that also audiences went in there considering it would to be a comedy and very aware that he is going to play the funny guy. So then when you know, he's processing the trauma of his father, or he's longing for Sylvia, or he's questioning whether his wife is he wants to be with him, whether his mother is his real mother, he does not. He does not look like he's having a good time, and it's really convincing. And that shift to conformity through paranoia, through fear, is so much more heightened because you go into that film expecting him to be wacky and funny and happy the whole time. It's so interesting to
Yes.
me. It's so
And
interesting.
Peter Weir also directed Dead Poets Society, which I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy.
Same thing. That's a
Robin
brilliant
Williams,
point.
and it's just like Robin Williams did Mork and Mindy, which was a comedy show. He had a stand up and everything. Funny guy. I always liked Robin Williams. I've seen Mrs. Doubtfire, which has tiny tinges of drama in his character, but it's not fully a drama. It's very much a comedy. But like I grew up with Robin Williams. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I didn't see Dead Poet Society until after his death, but oh my gosh, like a whole new side was just unveiled.
Mm.
And it's like you can put these, our versions, what we project onto these comedians or comedy actors, but when they do drama, they do it better than dramatic actors do comedy.
Because they understand
Yes,
timing.
they
And they understand likability and how to be an everyman character. I'm yet to see Will Ferrell do it.
have you seen Stranger Than Fiction?
No, but my lecturer keeps going on about it. He
You
says it's
need to
amazing.
watch Stranger Than Fiction and you will change your mind because I was like
Okay, that.
I
Thank
was
you for
like,
that.
"Oh my gosh." I saw that too, and it's very much Truman Show-esque as well.
Because it's that whole. I mean, you'll know more about me, obviously, but that idea of being manipulated and being controlled
Yeah, that's
unwillingly.
probably why I like Stranger Than Fiction. I saw it after The Truman Show, but it's a fantastic film. I might watch that tonight, I don't know. But,
I might watch it as well,
yeah,
thanks to
it's
you.
fantastic. But he's a he's probably one of the best characters we've had in cinema. Recently, I haven't found one. It's just characters stopped getting compelling to me around the mid 2000s. I don't know what. It's probably superhero fatigue. I'm just suffering from that
Yeah.
so badly right now.
There are still fresh characters, I
Yes,
promise you.
and
I
I
promise you.
watched Challengers this year. I watched Challengers. Let's see.
You didn't like
I
Doom
did
Part 2, you
not.
told me.
Oh my gosh.
We have to do another podcast. If you'd like me to come back, we'll have to do a sequel and discuss Doom Part
Yeah,
2.
I'd have to rewatch it. My opinions might change, but they might not.
I have problems with it too. Little tiny problems, but I think viewers would love, or listeners would love to hear two completely different opinions about
Yeah,
the
that would
film.
be good.
So that's something to consider. But anyway, do
Um,
carry on about
it's
what you watched.
just
Yeah.
I lost like hope in original characters, but this year's kind of like revived them. I'm just really excited for the future of cinema and also just going back to the past. There's just so many like fully imagined characters. Yeah,
There are. And also ones with enough mystery to make them even more interesting. Because I love that we have no idea where Christoph comes from or why he got into it. That mystery, that enigma is so exciting. And if they explained it within the world of the TV show, it would be disappointing. Not having that backstory, not having that relationship with that character, it makes him more distant from us as viewers and makes Truman even closer to us because we've seen his not his literal birth, but we've seen him from a child to an adult through little episodes.
and just the audiences these days. I feel like studios like have you listened to the Big Picture podcast from The Ringer?
No, no.
Okay, well, Sean Fennessy on there he's fantastic. Um, he says that studios don't feel like audiences can have the knowledge or understanding to get a film without having it being over explained. That's just I'm doing a bad job already,
Yes.
but we over
No.
explain everything nowadays. Just we don't trust our audiences.
And can I give you an example from Dune
Yes.
2, which you may not like? When the Harkonnen troopers are running up that mound and then float, at no point does Timothy go, oh, they can fly now? But as an audience, my jaw drops because that context, that detail had not been revealed at all, and that restraint of the first film, not letting me find that out until the opening, well, the second scene of the sequel. That moment was so huge, and I thought, please don't go. And a reaction shot of Paul going, oh, "What the fuck?" It just happens, and then you're made to just there's no explanation for it either.
Like
But
yeah.
you're right. Most films are over explaining it. It's quite
Yes, like
sad.
I was watching Thelma and Louise recently and the character exposition in that alone was just fantastic because you see Thelma, she's just, you know, messy and Louise is just very like perfection and I just saw it in the two characters just packing. Just Thelma was just messy, she was just grabbing stuff all around and Louise was very much like washing her cups and I just sat there I'm home alone I'm like this is great screenwriting. Like, what? I
Hmm.
like we just don't trust our audiences these days because
Because action through
yes,
exposition.
and if the light fell, like if Truman Show was made today, the light would fall, and then it'd be a scene cut to like the headquarters and them saying, "Oh my gosh, whose fault was that?" or something, and then the whole mystery would just be ruined. It would
It would be terrible.
just
And I'll give you an another example. Is that I won't name anyone, but a short film. I can't remember the exact line, but it's something like, you know, money's so tight recently. That sort of phrase, which people don't normally say normally. And then an acting friend of mine who was in he was watching the film said, "Why not just say we're late? We're behind on the bills." That's saying, I'm still looking for a job. That implies that they're poor rather than stating we're poor. That sort of thing where you can imply it through action as well. So in Truman Show, there's a lot of visual exposition hidden, which is it's so exciting to me that it's so hidden from us as viewers. And recently I watched Children of Men, which I hadn't seen in 4 years. Have you seen
I own
Children of
it. I
Men?
haven't seen it yet.
You are going to love it. Hopefully. I won't spoil it. It's the opening scene. Um, and there is verbal exposition, but it implies more about the world. So, do you know the context of the film?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, people can't conceive children, and in the very first scene, they don't go, "Oh, we still can't produce children." They say the youngest person in the world has just been killed, and he's 18, and that implies everything else that you're going to find out. And there's no explanation as to why that specific thing is happening at that point in time. You're just told an 18-year-old has died, and from that you can understand the whole world of the film. And I love that exposition. It is exposition. It's stated to you as an audience member through a TV channel, but it implies stuff rather than just saying it, which Truman Show does remarkably. Just
Yes, just
remarkably.
still how this didn't win original screenplay is beyond me.
It's
It's beyond
disgusting.
me.
It is
Yes, I
disgusting.
agree.
Especially, I mean, because Shakespeare in Love already got, what did it
It
win?
won't.
Lead
It
actress,
won't. Yeah.
production design, costumes, I think, as
Yes,
well.
and supporting actress for Judi Dench, which
Oh, one of the, like six
yes,
minutes,
I
like two
love
scenes, wasn't
Judi
it?
Dench, but my gosh, just another movie. Just give it front. Yeah.
Give it to Meryl in Truman Show. Come on, the way that she does a big smile, but her eyes look
Yes.
terrified.
Oh,
It's brilliant.
yeah. And like you were saying about the exposition, like the product placement later on in the film, they were talking about product placement in the interview with Christoph. And at the
Hmm.
like throughout the film, you can see it just with Meryl, oh, the Coco Moco, Coco,
Yeah,
or you should get one of those elk rotaries. And later on, you do see Truman with an elk rotary. I just point that out audibly. I was like, oh, he got one.
yeah,
And
you
then
do. But it's a
yes,
visual thing. It's
yes,
not
and like
stated.
even the twins that keep coming by, there's the billboards for like the colonial houses, and then the other one was like Kaiser Chicken, and it's just like they push him back, and the camera just pushes right onto the um billboards, and you just it's
Yeah.
subtle. It is so subtle, and you will not pick it up the first
Hmm.
time you see it, but you
No, you won't.
yeah, and then the more you watch it, the more you're like, this, like we said earlier, not to be redundant, but it's a dense screenplay and a dense film,
Hmm.
and it's just I call it cinema meat. That's what it is. You just watch it and you just get
Yeah.
something every single time. Just
Especially because so many films use product placement, and it's not distracting. It's really interesting, unless it's in your face, like in Wayne's World, they completely mock the idea of product placement by, I think they have a Pizza Hut hat on or something, and it's just so silly. But I've got three things to point out. I didn't realize how funny the product placement is until I watched it with an audience. I had no idea how funny it is. I was aware of it, and I thought, oh, this is quite silly. But watching with an audience, they were laughing out loud when Truman's friend goes, "Now that's a beard."
yes, and it's so he just looks right, breaks the fourth wall essentially, and just says, "That's a beer," and you're just like, "This is
Hmm.
weird." You're either going to say this
And
is
then
weird or
she
it's
does it.
funny.
Yeah, and Meryl does that as well when she's showing the knife or she's showing the cocoa or
Or
anything, and then
or even saying I made macaroni. It's just like, okay. It's very odd. But
and that performance was just
Laura Lynn,
wonderful. But
yeah.
two other details. Oh,
Laura
go ahead,
Linney's
sorry.
just phenomenal in this. Just from she's and her character, like we haven't even talked about her. Just her introduction is, Truman's eyeing Sylvia, is outside of school, and then she just lunges onto him, just like, "Oh, my ankle! Oh!"
And such a
such a, and I'm like, it's just the most. You can tell that that was just like written in the studio's like, oh, we can't have these two together, just gotta throw her in, love interest. It's very much like when you watch a show and something just does not make sense at all.
Mhm.
It's very much like The Office season 9. I was just like, they're just throwing stuff. They're running out of ideas. They need something to,
It's
you know, stir the pot, and they're just like throwing things left and right that just should not work, but somehow everyone's eating it up.
and then they imply, they don't state it. This is the great thing. They imply. Christoph says we'll be introducing a new romantic interest. They're not even named. They're just stated as a romantic interest for the audience to keep the mystery. And then it's done through a controlled environment, not in public where he can see another woman, but this is your new neighbor, in the office. So it's a complete, just the two of you, and then she smiles at him a bit nervously, and that whole narrative is completely on the side. It's not stated to you, never comes back. And before I forget about the product placement, there are two details that I noticed this time, which I never picked up on. Obviously, there's two twin characters who are looking to buy a house, I think it is, and they push him against a billboard with a chicken advert. I noticed that, and then do it again where they push him against a billboard and it says homes available. What I didn't clock was that the homes are available. I think this is all theoretical, because either actors are not feeling safe because of what happened with Meryl and the knife, and they don't want to be in that situation, so they've moved out of the Truman Show, and therefore they need more cast members to be in those houses, and that's why it says houses
Oh,
available.
that
I think
that's a good theory. We need to get Andrew Niccol on or something. Just like call him up, just like, hey,
that's a
I
great
mean,
detail, and obviously it's different to the chicken one. It's different. They've changed. It's the same location, but the bill, not the ad, the post has changed. That's obviously been done intentionally. I think that scriptwriter is too clever to have not done that on purpose, which is just a great opportunity to imply that the actors aren't happy without stating it. But again, I could be completely wrong. It could just be a production issue that they did by accident. But
like when
who
you were
knows?
even mentioning something's implied, like when Marlon and Truman are sitting there talking, and he was mentioning to Marlon, you were gone that summer working at Kaiser. And I was thinking, did he go for like this summer, to spend time with his actual family? Was he there for the summer to do some more education? Was he gone for the summer to get, a break from the controlled environment and just live out in the real world? My mind was going crazy.
I assumed it was that. I
And
assumed it was that, and he could have been getting training as an
yes,
actor.
it could have been anything. But honestly,
Yeah, which is
Marlon was not
great.
a good actor anyway. If I was
No,
Truman, I'd probably sniff
but
him out real quick.
well, that's partly because he did it as a child. They didn't pick him as an adult actor; they picked him as a child. I'll say one more thing about the advertising as well, which I paused the film because I found it so funny when I watched it a few days ago with my friend. So she's showing the Coco, and she's looking terrified that he's starting to get angry. And then he gets up, she starts backing away in fear, and she puts the Coco down. But before she puts it down, she turns it, the label faces the camera, and then puts down the
Oh, I
table.
did not notice that. I didn't clock it at all.
How clever is that? So while she's backing away in fear as a literal, well, not quite husband because of the fingers, but her husband is about to threaten her with a knife. She's prioritizing the label turning because that's what she's doing. She's doing a job, which is just so clever. It's so
And
funny.
and the whole breakdown starts with the light at the beginning. That's the catalyst, just for this whole entire movie to take place. It's
Mm.
just, he's having an average day, he's an everyman, and then something extraordinary happens, and then it's like dominoes, just they just keep
Oh,
falling. And after you know, he's just starts, he just wants to escape, and he starting to be curious about how everything's occurring after he sees his father, and you know
yeah.
and everyone's just trying to reassure him that everything's fine. Did dad have a brother, all that stuff. With the way he says that line, I think is funny. I don't know why.
Did Dad have
Yeah,
a
it's just,
brother? I don't know. It wasn't him. It was his twin.
yeah. And
Like,
then she's like,
there's so much
yeah.
excitement.
And he goes inside the office building, and he's supposed to go on the elevator, and then they pull him back, and it's just all set. And he's just like,
Yeah,
he realizes that his world's just falling apart. And it's after the radio, after it clocks every move he's doing, because he loses a
yeah.
signal. And everyone stops. He stops a bus, he stops a car. Like, when he's trying to get to his dad, there are purposely marathon runners running in his way. There's
Yeah,
bicycle and car.
it's
It's just
it's just hilarious.
everything. And he tries to escape as well. He just notices that the bus breaks down, it doesn't even move. Grinds down the gears. He's trying to even get a plane ticket to Fiji, and there's even a sign that's like, "Is it?" Which
And also, so
which
go
is
ahead, go ahead.
bad, because like I'm seeing this and I'm supposed to fly next weekend, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, do I need to see a plane
Oh
just get
no,
extra?" But like,
where are
I'm
you
going to
going to?
Guatemala.
What
Oh,
for? That's
I'm going
lovely.
to on a mission trip to help a community.
That's
Yeah,
so
it's my second
lovely.
year in a row. It's beautiful down there.
For everyone listening,
Yeah.
Isaiah did not ask me to ask about that so he could plug his kindly deeds. I just asked because I wanted to
Yes,
know.
I'm
So that's
not
not
bragging
something to
about this.
themselves.
But but I
That's so
hate flying
lovely.
anyway, and that just made it worse. I was like, "Oh,
At the festival where I saw the Truman Show last year, there was another film called The Society of the Snow,
oh,
which is obviously about a plane crash. And I was flying back a few days later over mountain ranges, and yeah, I haven't got a fear of flying. I've got a discomfort because cinema is so
yes."
immersive.
Oh, and yeah, just
And also the detail that the light falls down, and then on the radio they say an
aircraft
airplane
was
carrier or something had an
flying
issue.
over and
Yeah.
lost some parts, but everyone's okay. And I'm like,
But the specific detail that it's about flying to discourage him from flying is just
yes.
genius.
And
It's just
he's
genius.
just every time he's like, he even tells Marlon, I want to escape to Fiji. He's like, "Where's that, Florida?" Or even like the Mount Rushmore, like, where would that even be at? Because, she's like, "Things look smaller in the pictures." And I'm just like, "Oh no."
It's so funny. And using the golf ball to show you that you can't get any further without coming
Yeah.
back. Such beautiful
Yes.
language. It's so beautiful. While we're on the topic of, you mentioned, the lift thing going away and the set being revealed and the father and all these catalysts. That is one of my biggest complaints about the film. And obviously, it has to happen for the plot because if he doesn't start getting suspicious, it won't happen. And as the interviewer says to Christoph, that's the catalyst for this whole event. But the timing of, I've written it down, the light falling, then the rain falling specifically on him, then his dad's appearance, as you mentioned, the radio cutting out so he can hear them. It happens. The frequency of it is a little bit silly. It's just a little bit silly that I can feel the plot trying to give clues. Now it's obviously fun as an audience member, and I don't want to take away from the fun of the film. I don't care about it. I still love it. But you mentioned what are your flaws with it. When you asked me about the film, this is one of them. That the timing of all these little imperfections to happen so frequently, and I'm sure that they had loads of issues with the show over the last 30 years of his life, but all of these like sloppy imperfections happening, it's a little bit unbelievable, but I am happy to let that slide because I don't care. But if you ask them for criticism, that's one of very few.
And you say that, and it makes me think: is someone making a mistake? Like, there are people making several mistakes, or do you think there's someone secretly behind the scenes, like really,
That's
really wanting?
brilliant.
Because if you think about it, just so many events happening in such a quick amount of time, someone's messing up.
Okay, you know what? You convinced me. No longer a mistake. There's enough
Because,
leeway.
if this is a long running show that has happened since his birth, and he's roughly around 30 years old, why are these mistakes suddenly happening now when he wants to escape? Is there someone there that has empathy for him or sympathy for him that are like, oh, he just wants to leave. He wants to be reunited with Sylvia. Is there any way I can help him? Just
That's
knock
so
the
love.
light down. Maybe that'll work, up in the control tower. They're like, we've got to cover this up. Or maybe I can make this rain fall on him for just a little while. They're like, oh, we got to spread it everywhere. Just someone's probably like just planting these little bits, everywhere.
Yeah.
They probably didn't let hire the dad to come back, but they probably were like,
Cool.
just they could have distracted security or something, and he could have just wandered in.
I think it's an easy mistake. There are so many
Yes, and
extras, and he hasn't been seen in at least 20 years because he
yeah,
died
so
when he
surely
was.
during that time there are people being hired and fired and retiring, and surely no one's going to be keeping track of everything.
And it's not a plot hole to me. People have said it is. It's not. There's enough leeway, but that's not exciting to discuss on a podcast. The logistics of whether or not the world is just a little bit too sloppy, because I don't care. The film is so exciting.
Yes.
It's never bothered me, and now you've made it quite interesting
Yeah,
detail.
but there might
Feels like
be
I need to
someone back there helping. We just don't know. We know it's not Kristoff
That's pretty
because he
exciting.
wanted to stop him, but it could have been anyone else. We just don't know.
I think so. I'm just gonna search this little. I wrote this down. Yeah. So you were saying about the idea of someone like in the background trying to manipulate and trying to make this, help Truman out. And I wrote one of my big praises of the film is how contained it is. You're either in the dome, literally in the lunar site, or you're seeing almost like a POV from the TV of people watching. And there's no other show in the world. They don't show any riots or protests about the event, but it must be happening. And they just let you. Is that a friend of yours? Yeah, they just let you imagine the world that's happening around it, and the only detail they give towards that I picked up is in the background of Sylvia's home. You can see a poster for a rally, a protest. That's all they show that suggests that there's that big backlash, and obviously her being vocal against Kristoff, which they call a vocal
Even
minority.
calling in, just to the point.
Yeah. And that containment of the film, I really love. I really admire that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film. Just so full of. It's just, and the character of Sylvia though too is just, she's fantastic as well.
And for such little runtime, she's one of the most memorable parts of the film. And even though it's quite a small role, she fills it with so much heart. Like there's no reason for them to fall in love, because that's not how love works. I'm not worried narratively about it. You can see the shot reverse shot with the eyes looking at one another. That's all I'm interested in. And the funniest part of the film to me is when he says konnichiwa, and she goes, what? And she studies Japanese.
Yes.
That is just hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. And of course, they haven't trained the actors, because she's not a speaking actor. She's an extra. So why would she be learning Japanese? It's so amusing. It's so amusing, honestly.
Sorry, I'm getting hand signals from people behind the computer. They're just.
That's okay. You can, when you edit this,
Yes,
you can trim
that's
it a
a good
bit
part.
and you can sort out. No, take your time.
Sorry, it's about ordering food.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all. No, I'm in no rush. I mean, it is late
No,
here,
you're
but
good.
my housemate's keen to finish watching 8.5 when the podcast's over, so we'll do that. But
Oh,
he said
eight
there's
and a
no
half.
rush,
I
so
haven't seen that yet.
you are gonna
Oh,
love it.
I've just
It's
some
crazy.
people are just like, "Oh, you're so knowledgeable." I'm like, "Guys, it's just the thing about being a cinephile is you're always learning. It's an education that will
Yeah,
never end.
you'll never
You'll
finish watching
never."
everything. I didn't watch Star Wars till
Oh,
last year.
wow. That's
Like, it's weird. It's bad. I shouldn't say
No,
it
you're good.
publicly.
You're good. You're good. I
I've rewatched them since, so
I
I
I
feel like I
haven't seen
can
The Matrix
say
yet, and I have a friend I was working with yesterday, and she was like, "I saw The Matrix for the first time." She said, "I'm not really a movie person, but that just opened my eyes." And she's like, "Have you seen it? You have a movie podcast, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, "No, I haven't." And she just looked at me like, "But you have a movie podcast. You're supposed to be not."
you should watch it. Get her to be a guest on it and discuss it. It's a great companion film for the Truman
Yeah,
Show.
she was
Because
just like, just she said, "I have so many thoughts on that." And it was just the first viewing,
that's great.
and it's just, yeah, like I was saying, just being a cinephile, it never ends. And I'm glad that it doesn't because it's never boring. Yeah.
Absolutely. And but with the Matrix, I don't love it. It's a good film, but I don't love it. I'm not an action guy. But it also shows someone learning the reality of the world. Not to it's not a spoiler. That's in the first act, but it's about someone learning about the reality of the world and then questioning blue pill, red pill. You know, the same way that Truman does at the end of the film, where he has the choice to either stay in the paradise that he's created for him or go in the real world where there's no more truth, allegedly.
But essentially, I feel like the world that Christoph built for Truman has more lies than the world would because
It's counterfeit.
it's just the world we're like no one's trying to like do everything in their power just like to simulate everything. Like it's not a simulation. Like I had a coworker. He swears up and down we're living in a simulation. He's like it's just like the Truman Show. And I'm like we're not in some dome. I was like yeah, we're in the Earth. He's a flat Earth guy too. Oh, I have so many. I quarrel with him all the time. But
That's so
yeah.
funny.
But anyway, it's just there's it's not reality television as well. Like if someone dies here on Earth, they're not going to come back 20 years later and be like, "Oh, I didn't die in this accident or whatever." It just it's
Amnesia.
yeah, and they'll say like the amnesia story like I just watched it and I was like, "And they're buying this?" And I said, "And Truman's
Hmm.
buying this."
And this thing that you can debate: is he buying it or is he just doing it so that he can then escape, which is quite interesting. And also, a friend pointed out to me that when that light comes down at the beginning, you would not instantly go, "Oh well, I must be living in a simulation where I am a subject of a TV show." You would go, "That's really weird. Back to work," and then you hear an immediate reason for why it happened, which then reinstalls your fear of flying, which is really funny. And I asked my friend, I put on my story on Instagram, what are your thoughts on Truman Show? And she messaged me saying it's terrifying. I won't name her because she may not want her name out, but let's say she's called Mary. Let's say she's called Mary. I put, oh yeah, it's crazy how it became real with the Mary Show. Oh wait, I've said too much.
Oh, it just instills the paranoia.
Absolutely. And you're talking about this idea of truth in the real world, and I was thinking that because like the corporation have owned him as a legal guardian, and they are blocking off the rest of the world to him, it sort of suggests that Christoph believes that sheltering a child does more good than bad, which is really interesting, I think. And there's a similar idea in the Zone of Interest. Have you seen
No,
that?
but I've heard a lot about it, and I have an idea.
Yeah,
Just I know it's about that camp outside of. It's about the house outside the concentration camp. They're Nazis,
yeah.
but like, yeah, I can get where you're getting to, because so as it's I've seen people who are sheltered, as soon as they get into, you know, the more sheltered they are, the more I feel like out of touch they are with reality,
Yeah,
because they're just everything's built a certain way. But like, just like, I hate funerals, for instance, and my parents were telling me, even
mm.
as a child, we took you to funerals because we didn't want to shelter you from, you know, death. It is a real thing.
You have great parents then.
It's a real thing. It happens. We're not going to shelter you from any kind of, just, it makes you more grounded as a person, because the more sheltered you are, like I said, the more out of touch. You have to have realistic expectations of what's going to come. And if everything's
Mm.
simulated like Truman, you know, he'd never know what, like, in the real world, no one is as nice as everyone is in Sea Haven. Like,
Yeah,
you could,
and you're absolutely right about all that.
like,
Absolutely. I had a friend who never experienced grief. I always use this example: never experienced grief, never had a heartbreak, never been in a car crash, never been abused, never had any like emotional trauma, and it meant that if he missed his bus, for example, it would be an awful thing. Whereas friends of mine who have had awful things happen to them, they find such value in the little moments, and that's what the Truman Show is all about. Is embracing the real reality of things. And a zone of interest, which I won't spoil for you, but if you understand the premise, it won't be a spoiler. The garden that they live in, the garden wall is the wall of Auschwitz. So therefore, there's a complete disregard to what's happening there. And throughout the film, again, not a spoiler, you never go in there. The same way in the Truman Show, you never actually leave the building other than those little insert shots of the audience watching it. And that containment is so unpleasant. I won't spoil what happens in the third act, but it does change a little bit. But they never go into Auschwitz. And that idea of ignoring the real world, ignoring the atrocities going on right next to you, is explored in the Truman Show and also in its camera work. So I didn't meet the cinematographer, but I saw him at a Q&A. It's a person who did Zone of Interest, and he's talking about the restraint because the cameras in that film almost never move, and they also left the cameras in the building that they filmed in, and then left the actors in there. Went to their little what's it called? Their little truck full of screens. Was it Video
oh,
Village? That's it. And then observed from there and directed from there. That way, they get really authentic performances, just like the Truman Show. They leave the cameras there and then distance themselves and then just let it play out. And that relationship's quite interesting. It's quite interesting, I think.
and the camera placement in the Truman Show is phenomenal. Just like, from a pencil sharpener button, the trash can, like, every time he sees his neighbor, he's picking up the trash can, and you can see it right there. It's just this big black dot. And I'm like,
Yeah,
it's very obvious. But it's just,
it's very clear.
and it's in his mirror in his bathroom is a two-way, just like a police interrogation room. They can see in
Yeah,
it, he can't see in. Uh, they can see out of it, he can't see in. And just, like, camera placement's just phenomenal. It's on the clothing, it's in the radio, it's everywhere. Like, he said they had, what, over
absolutely.
5,000 cameras?
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
believable. It really is believable.
and they can get a shot from any angle, anywhere. And
Yeah, immediately. And that immediate ability to go, give me a shot on the lawn as he's escaping, and they get an immediate shot on the lawn and then a close up shot. Just that I mean, this is before 9/11, before CCTV was really on the rise, and before my walk to the shop gets documented by 3 different cameras. I don't know if it's 3 or 20, but I know there's at least one camera seeing me do that, and that Cold War paranoia that we're all being watched is really tapped to in the film through those camera
yeah, because,
placements.
like you said, post 9/11, pre 9/11, every time you had a security camera, is either for a crime film or a action film. Like Mission
Mm.
Impossible, for instance. You got to dodge the cameras. They might see it, and that's it. Essentially, there's not, like, the fear of being watched all the time. And
Hmm.
that's just, that could, seeing that film as a sheltered person like the Truman Show, it would probably do some damage to the psyche,
Yeah,
honestly. Which
I
I'm
think
glad
so.
I'm not a sheltered person, because I don't.
My parents let me go to funerals, which is such a nice thing. With the camera placement, I met Peter Weir, who shot the film, and I spoke to him about the camera placement. And he gave a talk before the film showed where he was saying about how it came out before reality TV was mainstream. There are examples of it from before the film, but this film really created the language, this cinema verite style of just placing cameras and then letting the stuff unfold. And I think that it's created the film language that is now seen in shows. I don't watch
I
reality
don't
TV,
either.
but no, thank you. Well done. More time to watch other real films. um, but I see the odd advert, and it's the exact same kind of camera shots, which makes it very disturbing, and that intrusive kind of nature to it, like Big Brother being a literal show, or I don't know, Love Island, or I'm a Celebrity. I'm talking about British
Or
shows, I
like
guess.
here in the States, we have like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or
Yeah,
Below Deck. Like we have these weird, like, and I can, after you watch the Truman Show, you can just tell that so much is simulated, because like people don't normally act this way. You can just,
no,
and because it's reality TV, these people don't have training like from the actor studio, or like any kind of formal, like, or actors without training. Like you can tell that when you watch film, performances are authentic. Some are fake, but you can tell they're trying to strive for authenticity. But like reality TV, they are just being so extra, just
yeah,
giving 110% into it, and it's the wrong 110%. It's just
yeah,
110%
absolutely.
fake, because as humans, like, we can, I guess we have receptors in our brain, that can tell the difference, like in the tone of voice. Are you being truthful? Are you lying to me? And it's just,
Eye
yes, and it's
contact as
just,
well.
you can tell that these, like, I can see a Kardashians commercial, and I'm just like, that is so fake. I'm like,
And I've never sat
I
down and
don't
watched it, but
either,
my,
but
my
just
partner,
like,
no, my partner had an episode on, and there's an awful conflict with one of the two of the sisters, and they're debating something about whatever. I was editing, and I thought this camera placement. They've got three cameras set up, and they've got studio lighting in this bedroom, so they've got at least three lights set up. They've come and sat on the bed. No, they spent an hour doing makeup. They've done set decoration. They've placed the lights. They've got the camera set up. They've all gone. Yep, sounds all good. And then the two of them have come in and sat and had an intimate conversation with at least three camera operators and at least one
yeah,
sound
because you
person.
cannot get that much coverage if it was a real life situation. If you watch it,
No, well, not that
no, yeah,
spontaneously and not
yes,
that well
and
lit.
like if you watch a documentary, say, and I seen several for an art class last semester, and
Mm,
you could tell that this was not a three camera setup like you were talking about, or lighting, because just like there were ugly shadows casting across their faces, and they were just, you could tell they were moving. It was kind of jerky, like the Blair Witch Project. It's just,
mm.
you can tell. But if it's like the Kardashians, it's just everything is too. It's like the Truman Show. It's just too. I just lost the word. Manicured. It's, yes, it's just
Yes.
well manicured. It's just too composed, perfect, and you're just
Hmm.
like, this would not happen.
It's the illusion. It's the illusion of
Yes,
reality, which is a very interesting thing for a film to be doing. And this is the thing: is that Bizot was saying he very unintentionally, with Weir, created film language that is now the most commonly seen on TV. That isn't just, a drama. The documentary television, specifically television, not film. He said it has now been changed because of the Truman Show, which is quite scary to think about. And as I watched the film there, because it was the first time I'd seen it on the cinema screen, you really pick up on that language. So there are three types of shots in the film, really. There are the close-up cameras, like me to the laptop now, where there's a wide-angle lens. So this is a wide-angle lens. You can't see it now because of the ratio, but most of my room is in frame because it's so close. Because if I go over here, there's still coverage of me. So, for example, in the car, they have those really wide fisheye lenses, and they've removed the seats on the car, the headrests, so that you can then have more angle to show. So you can see the actor's face, or the actors, and then Truman's face. And then they also have the telephoto lenses from far away. So at the end of the film, when he's by the water, it's a cropped image. It's so distant. The scales change because the lenses, the cameras have to be far away, and we're sticking to that camera shot, that camera language is so immersive in a way that I've never seen in another film. And the other third type is obviously close range, where someone has a little camera maybe on their shoulder or something. So they have that intimacy. They can use standard lenses, and those three the shot types, are now being. I'm assuming. I mean, I should be more informed by watching a reality show, but like the trailers that I see and the adverts, they're they're using that exact same language, which is just terrifying to me. It's so
Yeah,
interesting how they can take a film
yeah, just
film to there.
like you said, just take a masterpiece and be like, okay, now what can we do with it? And it's just like, oh my gosh, did you not learn anything from this film?
What about the exploitation of voyeurism?
Yes,
That's what
and
it's
it's
about
very much
fundamentally.
an exploitation. Like when my brother was watching, like, why would you do that to a child? Why would you, you know, say, go into a hospital like Christoph said, be like, unwanted babies. One, that's terrible. Just taking a child whose parents do not love him or her and just say, okay, we're going to legally adopt you as a corporation, not a singular person to raise you up and teach you values
Oh,
or
I hadn't even
anything.
thought of
We're going to, a corporation, who knows what the corporation is? It's just a corporation. They're unnamed. And they're just going to hire two people that more than likely aren't married, that more than likely have their own kids at home or somewhere, or when they retire, they might adopt kids later. Who knows? That aren't
perhaps.
your blood relatives, and you don't have to be blood relatives to be parents, but still, it's because I'm adopted. But even that, it's just you're just simulating, and you're creating a fake reality. You're just exploiting this child. You're just like, oh, he wants to go sailing and stuff. Maybe we should make him have a trauma. He should connect with some people on a real level. Let's kill his dad.
Mm.
And then
That's
it's
so interesting.
awful. And it's just like, oh, he's having a real connection with this girl. Let's throw this other girl in, and we'll just take her out of the picture. Say they're moving to Fiji. He won't think twice about it. And it just keeps going and going and going, and they're just ruining this man's life. And it's just so terrible. And like voyeurism, I love the film Rear Window, which is also very much a film about
Yeah,
voyeurism.
yeah.
But Rear Window is just, it's more like, oh, what are my neighbors up to, or whatever. You like,
The
yeah,
stakes aren't as
no, they're
high. I'm not
not.
personally
Yeah, no,
invested,
and it's
but
just,
it's entertaining and it's very gripping.
and the thing about Jimmy Stewart's character is he, like the newlyweds, for instance, they come in and that's all they do is just have sex. That's just it. That's all they do. But we don't. It
Implied as well.
implies it because it's the 50s and they had the Hays
Mm.
Code. But like, even for the Truman Show, for instance, the wind flies through. They mention it. It's like you don't see anything. It's just implied. But it's even that. Jimmy Stewart's character was not watching everybody or one singular person all the time.
Mm.
He slept during that time. He
Yeah.
did, he ate. He was talking with Grace Kelly's character. He was doing other things while trying to solve the spoiler alert for those who haven't seen Rear Window, the murder of, the neighbor across the street. But in the Truman Show, everyone is watching this like 24/7. Like
Yeah.
even those two waitresses at that bar. It's a restaurant that is like Truman's restaurant. It's 10,900 and something days. On air, and I'm just like, these people eat this up, and they don't think twice about it.
It's fascinating, and there's two things to say about that from my notes. One of which was there's a line the interviewer says, which is, "We know how jealously you guard your privacy," which made me, I didn't pick up on that until a couple of nights ago when I watched it. That is such a great line. How jealously you guard your privacy. The irony of that, the contradiction of that he's allowing an adopted child from a corporation to be a spectacle, but he guards his privacy jealously. That's just such a bitter irony.
Is, and he's just like, in the end, when Truman escapes, of course, and he's talking to him, he's very much like, I have the script right here. I own it. It is
Brilliant.
because I love it so much. It was $14 on Amazon, so just that's our dollar. I don't know how it
Go on,
compares
listeners, grab
to
it.
yours, but
It'd be about 11 or 12 quid here, I reckon, maybe 10 quid.
the
economy's not great right now.
It's not great here either, but I buy it anyway.
They call it cost of living crisis, but our generation call it cosy lives.
I need to start using that. But he says,
It's funny.
when he has a contact, with Christoph for the first and final time, Truman, who are you? Christoph, I'm the creator. Truman looks up to the heavens. Truman, the creator of what? Christoph, a show that gives hope and joy and inspiration to millions. Truman, incredulous, a show? Then who am I? Christoph, you're the star. It's just like, and then Truman struggles to take it all in. Truman, nothing was real. Christoph, you were real. That's what made you so good to watch. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy sees him as like, as a god. He created this being. You're my child, essentially. He thinks of himself as a father, and I'm just like, if you consider yourself as this great father, you ruin this child's life. You just completely destroy it because you just, like you said, exploited him for his own good. Christoph, we don't know much about him, but I'm pretty sure he did all of this for personal fame and glory, and riches, and he didn't do it because it might have started as an experiment. We don't know. There's just so many open-ended questions.
Definitely. And you pointed out, which I did not think about, which is very interesting, that he didn't adopt them. The corporation did, legally speaking. I never thought of that. Why didn't he personally do it? Like, be personally accountable, because then it's the child is his until he's 18. But it could have been a show about showing a kid going from childhood to adulthood and then left it. But they're then imprisoning an adult, which the corporation owned. Does that stop at 18?
I have no idea. And how does a corporation adopt a child? That's what I want to know.
Disney will find out for us.
I'm sure. I don't know. Because...
And you mentioned... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Well, no, you finish. No,
because I'm going on a tangent, so you finish your point.
Because, like, legalistically, I do not know how they could adopt a child. Because it's a corporation. It's a group of, like, board members, essentially, having having this child's life in their hands. And essentially, they're taking it, giving it to this guy and saying, here, take this, do something with it. And it's just, they're essentially like taking the child and then giving the child away, and like, if you want to look at it from a legalistic perspective, if the movie were to continue on and be like a 3-hour long film, they could have totally had Truman sue that corporation, because in legal damages that they did to him. They like, no, I would say reckless endangerment as a child, because of the storm that killed his father. They could have killed him.
And the intentional
Yes,
trauma. And my friend picked up when we watched it the other day. He said the words, the fact that he hasn't been paid a penny for this job,
exactly.
and he's the most famous person in the world. That's what Paul Giamatti's character says. Everyone knows his face. Um, it's
And
fascinating.
those
It's
two
really fascinating.
like waitresses, when they were watching it, one was like, "What? When did that happen?" That was way back. I'll give you the best of tapes that I have at my house. And it's just like, oh, did Truman not even get a residual check from that? It's just like you said, it's a great point. He's not seeing a single penny. He's been traumatized. They've put this person through the ringer. And
Yeah, he'd end up owning the whole dome, I think, because they can afford it. The show's over. What's going to be used for it now? Are they going to get a new
I
kid
don't
and put him in
know.
there?
It's just,
That's going
yeah.
to happen. And you picked up on the point that it's the audience who are sort of like unfazed by it. And I wrote down this. Um, yeah, so obviously Christoph is the villain of the film, narratively speaking, but the real villain is obviously the people. Very deep, isn't it? But it's society that's the problem with it. And I wrote down, I was talking about how, you know, obviously we all know Hitler was evil. We all know that. But what's even more evil are the millions of people that voted for him, then allowed his campaign to go to the full extent that it did. They were all aware of it and let it happen without protesting. Those people that allow that evil to happen, that's the really scary thing. A despotic leader is awful, but a group of people willing to elect that person legally, that's even more terrifying. And we had an election 2 days ago. I don't know what you know about British
I
politics,
read
but
a,
there's a
a small bit about it. I just glanced. I
yeah.
didn't really.
You don't
Oh,
want to know. It's dull.
okay.
But there is a party called the Reform Party, and Nigel Farage.
I feel like I do, but I don't. I don't want to say. I
You'd
don't
know
want to
his
stick my
face.
foot in my mouth,
You'd know
so
his
just
face.
keep going.
It's okay. I won't. I won't condemn anyone because it's good to hear everyone's opinions about everything. But his party, everyone knows they're like the racist party,
Oh,
basically. And what's scary isn't him; it's the 3 to 4 million people that voted for him 2 days ago and either didn't know that his policy was to freeze immigration, which to me is terrifying, but either they didn't know that or they knew it and then went, yeah, that's what I want. That's what's terrifying. It's not the leader, it's not Christoph, it's everyone else allowing it to happen. The government that allowed a corporation to own a child, everyone letting this trauma happen to a human being, and then still watching, still buying, still consuming. That's the scariest part about the whole film to me. And not showing a protest outside the dome, not showing any sort of rally, just implying it. Well done, Weir. Well done for not just feeding
yeah,
it to
and
us.
like you say that, and it makes perfect sense because I feel like as people, we are just scared to speak our opinions or try to stop something that we feel like is wrong or we don't want. And because we don't do that, we kind of allow it to happen. Like World War II, for instance, that like Hitler, that's just a whole different thing. But like, say for instance, we are all, like I mentioned earlier, superhero fatigue. We're tired of
Mm.
it, and we're tired of the uh, ridiculous amount of sequels. We could sign petitions and get thousands, if not millions, of signatures saying that we don't want this and we're tired of it, and it could just be ended. But
That's
but
not a bad
because
idea.
we don't, we're still getting them, and yet we're standing, we're all complaining about it on all the social medias, like, when are they gonna come out with something original? I'm tired of all the sequels, I don't wanna watch a new MCU movie because now I have to watch 30 more to get what's happening in this one, and it's like,
Yeah,
we could just sign petitions, just do something legally to stop it from happening, but yet we don't, and yet we're still getting it.
it's fascinating, and I will point out two great things. For me personally, I was never into superhero films, so for me, I don't feel like I'm missing out on part of my childhood, which I'm very happy about. I like Birdman, I like Megamind, and Invincible is a
Megamind's
great show,
phenomenal. Just
absolutely, and Spider Verse is top tier. So what I love is that in this, like you mentioned, superhero fatigue, then Spider Verse makes bank. Doesn't win the Oscar, but gets a 4.5 rating, which it's had for over a year now on Letterboxd. That excites me. And the fact that sequels are not making money now. Dune 2 made money. Most sequels that have come out this year have flopped. Inside Out 2 has made lots of money. That's an exemption from the rule. Look at Pixar for the last few years with their sequels and their spin offs doing terribly. And look at Marvel. They've been losing a lot of money. Indiana Jones 5 lost money. It's getting quite vocal through the
yes,
box
and
office, and they're listening because they are cancelling projects and they're delaying projects, trying to work out if it's still marketable, still viable
yes,
financially.
and it's just like you said. The box office numbers are speaking for themselves because I plenty of people. Let me think. Like the Marvels came out last year, and I didn't even go see it because I was just so over it. And
Yeah,
you know, I haven't heard of many people watching it. Even my Instagram feed just barely just scraped it. Just like some few reviews, and that's it. Even in the trades, it was just very little. But then, like, if
mm,
you like Challengers Dune Part 2, for instance, or like Dune, for instance, though, it was like closing on 40 years before they made Denis Villeneuve made his film. Before he made Part 1, it
mm,
was nearing on 40 years from David Lynch's film.
yeah,
That's a good time frame to start fresh. You
yeah. And it's one of the few
Yes.
remakes that I've enjoyed, along with The Thing and Cape Fear. There are not many good remakes, and what I found interesting is that I'm not a fan of remakes or sequels, and yet Dune 2, for me personally, was a landmark film in the way that, maybe not in the way that Lord of the Rings is, but in the way that Lord of the Rings was a franchise remake film, and obviously sequels for the last two. But I have so much passion for them still, and the world has so much passion for those films. And what I love is that we can condemn and hate all of this general this pattern, but there is the odd exemption, like Spider Verse, like Dune 2, which for me at least meant a lot, meant a great deal, and the fact that you have to be patient with that film. Oppenheimer made almost $1 billion, and whilst it was part of the meme, it was ultimately a biopic about a cis straight white man from the 50s and 40s, primarily, and yet that made $1 billion, or almost a
Yeah,
billion.
like I watched Oppenheimer because I was really late to it. The Oscars had already passed. I was just like I and it was playing at my theater. Actually a town away. We got rid of ours for some weird reason. I'm still struggling with that. Yes, I'm
Really?
having I've struggled with that since it happened. I'm just like it's not right. But I have to drive like 30 minutes to another town to city to watch it. But it was on like $5 ticket. I was just like bored one day. I'm like, I'm gonna go see Oppenheimer. I loved it. I was just, but I mean, I didn't love the character Oppenheimer because I was like, you're a terrible human being. Well, one, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you're just committing. One, you tried to poison his teacher at the beginning, and I'm like,
Which is
and I'm
true, by
like,
the way.
this
Apparently,
and
it's
I'm like,
true.
this man is going to kill his professor because he made fun of him and stopped him from seeing his, hero. And then he continues to like have an affair. He's part of the Communist Party. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this man is terrible. And then, you sympathize him later on when he's like trying to help the war effort and whatnot. And but you still have a struggle. I still had struggles with him just like blatantly having an affair. I'm going on business.
That, that objectivity, just beautiful. I did not feel manipulated as an audience member. I felt like I was shown things and I made up my own opinion, which is just so rare. And in the Truman Show, they
Yeah,
do that. They don't feed you philosophy. They really show you both sides, and they don't have it like the debate between Sylvia and Christoph. neither side wins it. You know, there is you don't feel like, oh, Christoph just got told this or Silvio just got told off. They both sort of win and lose in a weird kind of way. And I love that line. Well, you're wrong. You're so wrong, and he'll prove you wrong. I love that line. Maybe I almost
yeah,
cried.
it is a really good one. And as the end of the movie was nearing, as Truman, well, he's like, well, say something. Christoph he's just waiting for an answer. He says, well, if I see you again, good afternoon, good evening. I was smiling. I was loving it because I'd seen this film like 7 times. It's a great rewatch for me. It's just like,
it was my 8th time. That's so
and
funny.
it was just like building up, and I'm just like, I knew it was coming. I was just anticipating. I was just smiling. And as soon as, he utters that line and he goes, like, before it, Christoph's talking to him, and you just see this expression on Jim Carrey's face. And my family's like, my brother and sister, they were debating it. There's 4 of us, and my brother closest to me, we're both the middle. We've seen it before, like, several times. But the oldest, our sister, and our youngest brother had never seen it. So we were just sitting there just listening to what they had to say, and they were just like, my sister like, oh, he's gonna stay, he's not gonna turn around. My brother's like, he's going through the door. He was just like, he has to. I could see it on his face, and I'm just like sitting there just anticipating the end. And when he says that line, my youngest brother just like sat up and he's like, he's gonna do it, he's gonna go through the door. It's just like, and I've never seen, like, they had great reactions to this film, and this film's like
That's
just
so lovely.
It's a film that's not to be watched, just for, to turn your brain off, like I mentioned earlier with like Dumb and Dumber or something. This is a film that really makes you think, and the entire time we're watching it, like, they're saying stuff like, why would they do that to a child? How can a corporation, adopt a child? Why is this happening? Who would do such a thing? Oh, he's going to escape. They shouldn't have let that happen. They were just audibly. Luckily, we're watching this at home. If we were in a theater, we would have gotten kicked out. But like, if we were at home watching this, and it's just great. It's great seeing people's like reactions for the first time.
Yeah, that's the most valuable part of any film, is when you relive
and
it.
I was reliving my first time watching it and just seeing. And I told my brother, he's like, I don't know if I want to watch this. And we'd watched Hoosiers, we had watched The Karate Kid, and he said both of the films made him had the happies. That's what he called it, just like feel good. And I'm like, this one will make you feel good. And he's like, I don't know. And then we're watching it, and he's just, throughout the film, I could hear it every now and then, I don't know if this is going to make me feel good. It's just like, because it's so depressing, he can't get out of there. And as soon as, like, he said that line, he was just ecstatic. And I was loving it,
Yeah.
and that's the best part about film. It's just, you just get these reactions that are just honest. And
I love that. And what we say about the anticipation for that last line, 2 great things about it is that you see all these shots of people waiting to find out, and they're looking at the screen so adamantly, and it's like Rear Window, which you mentioned earlier. As an audience, I'm aligned with Jimmy Stewart's character because it's the shot, I'm going to look, see what he's looking at, and then his reaction shot. So you feel aligned to him because you've gone through the exact same process. The same thing with Truman Show. As an audience member sat watching a big screen, I'm waiting to see what he's going to say, and by seeing that, my adrenaline goes up, and that process is great. Also, the line that he says, his catchphrase, he's conforming to what Christoph wants, and also giving him the biggest middle finger without
it is
because Christoph wants to give a big speech and get angry so that it becomes a bigger television broadcast, but he doesn't. He just delivers a line, bows like a real showman, and then walks into an empty black void. And this is something that you say it makes you happy. In the moment, it makes me happy, and then when it turns off, I get quite sad because I think about what's going to happen after.
Yeah, like my mom, for instance, she was like, I wish they had a blurb. She said, I wish they had a blurb at the end, just show us what happened when he entered the real world. And my brother and I just left up, the brother closest to me who had seen it many times as I would, we just both left up. We're like, no, 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 like we just cannot have that. And she said, but why? And we said, like, I didn't say this, but I was just thinking about, like, as I was going to bed, I'm like, you're just on such a dopamine high. You are happy. Why
Yeah.
take away the stress and the anxiety of the real world to a guy who has been in a simulation his whole life?
Because that's when the show stops. And when he leaves, we don't get to see anything else. We can't intrude anymore. I love that relationship. And again, it's bizarre, and it's also Peter Weir and a screenwriter whose name
Andrew
I don't
Niccol.
know, allowing the audience. Oh, thank you. Allowing the audience to have that misdirection and walk away feeling happy without clocking immediately how sad his life will be from now on. And that is that's the best way to do a tragedy, to make you feel happy. Like, my favorite kind of films are the films that feel happy. So you think about it, like Banshees of Inisherin.
Yes, that's a fantastic one.
It's great. I first watched it and thought, comedy. It's good. It's funny.
I thought it was
Well
quite
done.
funny and sad. Like, my favorite scene personally is when uh, Brendan Gleeson's character is in confession with the priest. That
Yeah,
I
yeah. Which
it
time?
was
Which time?
probably the first time when he asked if he had feelings for Colin Farrell's character that
Yeah.
I had the biggest
You're
yeah,
joking me. I mean, are you
I
fucking
had the
joking me?
biggest laugh. I thought that was hilarious, but it is a tragic movie because, Barry Keoghan's character dies, because he gets turned down by Carrie Condon, and it's just like, and
Mhm.
Brendan Gleeson, just wants to be alone because tells Colin Farrell's character, you're just boring. I need some
Yeah.
excitement in my life. He just hangs out with the other musicians, playing. But every time he
Just don't
comes
put
and sees
customers.
him, he cuts a finger off, even to the point of throwing one at his door. Doesn't the donkey
Yeah.
die from
It's
choking
so
on one? That's what I thought.
yes, and
And it's it's
horrible.
such a tragicomic film.
And Dominic ends his own life. Well, it's implied at least. And what I'm saying is that in a film with so many horrible things, I was focusing on the funny dialogue and the pettiness of the situation from
Yes,
Colin's
because
side.
Carrie Condon just
And
straight out just tells them, just like you're all boring, with your pill and stuff.
yeah, you're all
Yeah, with your
fucking
piddle.
boring.
Yeah,
Petty
and I'm just
grievance.
like,
Yeah,
preach war, just like, and just like even the film Little Miss Sunshine, for instance, that's a tragic film because if you think,
that
yes,
first shot with her watching
yeah, and
and
like
the
Olive
eyes.
wants to be in the Little Miss Sunshine competition. Sorry, this might spoil a future Little Miss Sunshine episode, but hey, we're going with it because we're talking about tragicomic uh, tales. It's just, Olive wants to be in it. Olive's a little pudgy, bless her, but she just wants to be in the Little Miss Sunshine competition. On their way, their grandpa dies because he is a cocaine addict, and that's sad. But it's also funny because they're trying to
Yeah,
load his body up into the vehicle, putting out a window in the hospital. It's so funny, but it's also extremely sad. And you also have Steve Carell's character who's gay. He attempts to kill himself. He has to live with the family, and he's just
mm,
out of place anyway because he just doesn't feel like he belongs. But everyone in that family's out of place for some specific reason, and they all go through the disappointments, these ups and downs. Like Steve Carell, does try to kill itself. Tony Collette gets him out of the
mm,
hospital. When he goes to the gas station later on, he bumps into his ex-boyfriend, who is now with another
yeah.
professor who he hates, and it's just a downer. Uh,
It's
yeah,
so full of pain.
Greg Kinnear tries to get that book deal he wants with Bryan Cranston's character. He's like, "Oh no, we're not doing that," or whatever. Downhill. Olive, essentially blows her, Little Miss Sunshine pageant, because uh, she's playing Super Freak, and being down, just having a blast, and then it's even with Dwayne, played by Paul Dano, he can't be in the Air Force because he's colorblind. And
Yeah.
it's just, we think of some things as just very happy, like you said, but they're just sad.
Mm. But it's that lens of making it appear happy that I love. So I left Banshees the first time thinking it was a decent comedy. We should do a
Oh
podcast on
yes,
that film because that's still relevant. It's the one film that's made me cry as well.
really.
So I
I'm a
genuinely, I watched it the first time, and the first time I was like, it's whatever, it's whatever. Then I couldn't stop thinking about it. We watched it, showed my friend, showed my other friend. I watched it every month, twice. On Letterboxd, you can see it's the film I watched most last year. I think I've seen it 11
holy
times, 12
crap!
times
I've only
maybe.
seen it once, but I need to.
It came out like a year and a
Yeah,
bit ago, and I shouldn't have seen it as many times. And we run a cinema society, we screened it, and we all took a Guinness to feel like we're part of the film. And my friend was like, "How are you not giving it 10 out of 10?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's great, but it's not quite 10." And then I cried. I really cried, and I went to him, 5 stars, and and he went, "Huh?"
it's just like sometimes, like I said earlier, like in the film, like catching things, you just need a second watch. Sometimes a second viewing will change everything. It will
Yeah,
either you will either love it the first time, you watch it the second time, you're like, "Why did I like this?" Or you will hate it the first time, watch it a second time, and be like, "This is great." Or you will like it the first time, watch it a second time, and think it's even better than the first. And it's just each viewing is just different on who you are,
it's
and
rewarding.
it
It's so rewarding. And people
is.
say, "How can you watch a film that you know what's going to happen?" I was like, "Because the story is not what I actually really care about." Because Seven Samurai tells the same story as other films, and they're fucking awful. But Seven Samurai, and there's there's nothing that compares to that kind of a film, which I haven't actually seen, so I shouldn't say that because
I
maybe it's
haven't either,
awful.
so
But you know,
you're good.
you can have a great story told terribly, and therefore that's confirmation to it's the storytelling, it's the acting, it's everything else. Um, but on the subject of these bleak films that are disguised as happy ones, those are my favorites because you are tricked as an audience member into feeling happy. So with Banshees, I thought it was happy, funny comedy, and then the darkness of it sunk in, and that illusion is just brilliant. It's the same thing with music. My favorite songs are songs that I'm happy and dancing to, and then stop and listen, and it's really sad. Like songs like I'm not sure, Tame Impala with the less know the better, which is a great riff, a great beat, and I'm swinging and having a good time. And I listen to the lyrics, and it's so sad. Or
No, I
Wallows.
haven't heard these, but I love I
Oh no,
love music though, so I'll probably just
yeah,
search
yeah.
them up.
You'll know them, but maybe not by name. But they're not a great band, but they're good. And they got a song called "Are You Bored Yet?" and my partner loved the song, showed it to me, which she always regrets doing because I overplay it. And I'm like, what a great song! The beat's great, but isn't it sad? She said, "What do you mean it's sad?" And I said, "The lyrics, it's brutal." And now she doesn't want to listen to it. Thinks it's too sad.
Like I'm the
Um,
same way with songs. It's just which I play piano and numerous instruments,
I
and
know.
it's just you know I love music so much as I love film. It's the words, like you were saying. It's just the beat can be the like I love Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, and that song is sad.
It's
And
brutal.
you're
It's
just
so
like,
brutal.
yeah, it's just the lyrics are just great, but then when you really listen to it, you're just like, "Oh my gosh, why am I listening to this?" Why am I
Players only play when they're
Yeah, but it's
playing.
just such an upbeat like, even you can take a good song that's upbeat and even turn it sad, like The Big Chill, for instance. I love that film, and at the beginning, it plays "I Heard It Through the Grapevine" by Marvin Gaye, and that completely changes
I hadn't
that
seen it,
it
but go ahead.
changes your perspective on that song. Completely, because now when I think of it, because I watched The Big Chill, I just think of just this sadness because, it starts off with another spoiler alert, Kevin Costner, he's cut out of the film completely. You just see his wrists, that's it. But his character kills himself, and introducing all our characters, it plays "I Heard It Through the Grapevine," and it just shows each one getting the news and reacting to his death. And I'm like, this is phenomenal, but it also changes the entire meaning of the song when you use it like that. So I guess we're teaching film class and doing the Truman Show at the same time. Great.
A lot of fun. And this is a great link that we can bring it back to, is that the Truman Show does it so brilliantly, where you are completely convinced it's a happy ending. And rewatching it this time, I wrote down, yeah, so there is no light at the end of the tunnel. It's a black void in the shape of a screen, but put horizontally, and it's not visually glorified. It's the opposite. It's a dark pit, and I think Weir did that very intentionally. He didn't just open the door and then see the real world. It's just a mystery to him. It's not glamorized, and more specifically, if we get into the actual logistics of it, he will have trust issues for the rest of his life because his whole life has been fabricated, and he's almost lived half of it. How can he even buy food without feeling like something isn't real? How can he get a job? He's the most famous person in the country, and he wants to now, I think, as a character, avoid that for the rest of his life. He doesn't
He
want to be
wants
a
to live,
celebrity.
quote unquote, a normal life, but because he is such a, if he's the biggest celebrity in the world and has been watched by essentially everybody, it's going to be very hard to escape that life of being constantly watched, because
He
you'll
confuses.
see snapshots of celebrities, buying groceries or whatever, and you're just like, oh, I haven't seen them in a while, or thought about them in a while. But Truman would be like, he'd be bombarded by the paparazzi everywhere he'd go, because he's just so
Yeah,
big of a star, essentially. Even if he is fictional, but in the world that this is set in, he would be bombarded. He would not have any freedom whatsoever from anyone. And
definitely.
thank God it's not set in the world of social media, because that would just be even worse. It would just
Absolutely.
make it that much more terrible. But it's just, he would have such a rough transition into the real world. Like you said, he wouldn't trust me. I feel like Sylvia would have to be there, and he'd have to have lots of therapy.
And that's the best. That's a little bit of hope there. Is that Sylvia runs down those stairs because she's about to go to the studio. She's about to get the next flight to the studio. You
Yeah,
can
and
guarantee that.
hopefully, like, he's like, I had a good guest, Zach, on the Fly episode I did before this. We were talking about how the film just ends, with Gina Davis essentially killing, no, with John Getz killing Jeff Goldblum's character as the Fly in the end.
I haven't actually
Well,
seen it.
it
But carry on.
happens in both movies, so I'm sorry
Okay.
I spoiled that for you.
It's okay.
And
No worries.
we were talking about, like, after that it just ends. We're like, we don't get the post of what happens after that, the next day or whatever. But we were just talking about what would it be like, just throwing ideas out there. But this is the same thing, just he'd have to have a lot of therapy. Sylvia would have to be there. And I feel like she would be there, because once he walks through those doors, I believe Christoph just let go.
I think he had to, or he gets another
Yeah,
kid
it's like
and they
there's
keep him
just,
in because he had planned to have Truman and Meryl have a child
yeah,
together.
and I feel like
I'm assuming the show
because
ends
they
from
were
there.
pushing so hard for a child, now that you mention it, just popped right in. I don't know why I didn't think about it, because one day Truman would die. He would. He's human. He's going to die. He's not immortal. Like, if he had a child, that's probably what they would go with next. But
I think
it's
so.
just like, it's a vicious cycle. How long could they keep doing this? If Christoph were to die, who would pick up the mantle from him? Would they want to continue?
One for my God.
You know, would they have, like,
I, I'm assuming the kid. I'm assuming the child would then be property of the corporation still. They find some way to do it. I don't know how exactly, but would the kid then be part of the Truman Show, or would it become a spin-off? Would they have two different shows going on at once? Because there's a father Truman doing his own thing, and the kid doing
they
his own
may
thing.
wait until Truman actually passes, because if Truman is just such a bankable star for them, and he's so famous that it would take, because Truman's had 30 years to be in the public consciousness, and get into everybody's, like, he's such a pop culture figure already at that point. A child would just be a blip. Just, I feel like they'd just be like, oh, it's just a part of Truman. It's not, the child's not his own person yet. They probably don't see the child as anything but a set piece for the show until Truman were
Yeah.
to die. I feel like then they would be like, okay, now we probably will go with the child. But until Truman dies, I feel like they won't, be attached to the child in any way, shape, or form.
You have to get the screenwriter in to see what
Oh my
what
gosh,
he
I
reckons.
should have contacted him or found him somewhere.
Well, you could send him this and then see what he says, because I would love to
Yes,
talk with
that
you,
would
and then we'll have to see. And do you know about the kid? It's obvious that the showrunners want him to have a child because his mother persists. I do want to see a grandchild before I go, and then Meryl's saying she wants a baby, and one of the most painful lines in the film is after the nuclear power plant scene, and Truman says, "Why do you want to have a baby with me? You can't stand me." And that shows that he's aware that Meryl, this is a career thing. It's so full of pain. Where he delivers that, where he's not going, "Why do you want to be with me?" He just says it with such pain in
because
his
he's
voice.
already, yeah,
That's the clip.
he's already seen the fingers crossed. He knows.
And what a way to show that visually. I love it. Not shown through an interview, through verbal exposition, through visual exposition, and his scowl as he looks at it. It doesn't feel like a Jim Carrey performance in that moment where he's questioning, does his wife want him? That's what Oscar worthy is, that he doesn't just play himself. He plays himself and then shows him transforming. It's just beautiful.
She's like, your mother and I need to talk about your birthday, or whatever. We don't see anything about the birthday, but she's like, oh, your favorite show's on. You need to watch it. And, he turns it on. But instead of watching the show, he opens the photo album and he's looking through. And you would think that there would be a camera on that magnifying glass seeing the fingers crossed. And if there are cameras everywhere, or they were like, it's just an object, you probably won't think anything about it. But if Truman is being monitored 24/7, like I said, there might be someone, tweaking stuff. Yeah, sneaking behind the scenes and doing stuff. No one caught that he knows. He's starting to rip apart the seams. They're trying to cover it up so much, but that picture in itself just says 1,000 words. More than the light falling from the sky, more than the set being fake, anything like that.
Because then it's personal. Then it's actually personal. But there's enough leeway to think, maybe my wife doesn't love me anymore, or never love me, and maybe she's with me.
And because he's already questioning the reality of the world he's living in, this is just the icing on the cake. It's just like,
yeah. And the fact that he doesn't go to her and say, "What is this?" shows that he's willing to accept that first bit of trauma. And the film, I love this detail that I picked up on this time. I could be wrong about it, but if it's true, it's great that every single revelation to him that isn't a technical one is trauma to him. So it's either his dad coming back, it's his wife not loving him, all these little bits of exposition visually, which are so painful, and it's him having literal trauma for the first time.
Like you were saying, then the sets and stuff, that's like, even a bit of trauma, I would say, is when they were at the nuclear plant, the officer says, "Thank you, Truman," or something like that. And he's just like, oh no. They know my name.
That's the best revelation.
How did they know my name? I've never seen them before. Surely word doesn't travel that fast. You can see he has like a million different things to say on his face, and you can just read them all in that split second, and you're like, oh no. This is just...
Yeah. But Weir doesn't have him go, "Meryl, how do you know my name?" He just goes, "I am getting out of this car with this woman right now." And I said it's the best bit of the film. It's obviously not, but for me, it's the biggest confirmation. That is
very
unambiguous,
very much like she's a part of it. They're a part of it. I need to get out of here, and just like
Yeah.
and then he still gets caught. He gets brought back home, and that's when he's finally like earlier in the episode we've already talked about. She sets the Coco face like her. That's when he finally confronts her. Is like, what's going
And he
on?
just,
Because when she does her product placement ad, he says, "Who are you talking to?" Because she's just looking
yeah,
like wide-eyed, big smiles, and just very just robotic in a sense. He's like, "What is
yeah,
going on? Who are you talking to? There's no one around."
yeah. And all he says is when the officer says, "You're welcome, Truman," he just says, "Truman." He just whispers it, which feels quite poetic. And my I can't remember who it was. Either a family member or a friend when they watched it with me said, "Why have they got an advert now? That's risky. That's really risky that she's suddenly doing a commercial when they've got this tension." And I was like, "Well, I don't know why." And then they went, I think it might be my dad said the amount of viewers they've got right now must be insane. Of course, they're going to put in a commercial now of all times because they can make a lot of bank from that, um, which is just it's just so clever. It's just so clever. Um, and we're talking about his favorite show. Do you remember what show it is? I Love Lucy, which I
I
haven't
have seen
seen
I Love
because I
Lucy.
you have. Oh, okay. So you know more than me then. But I did A level history, and part of it was about shows like I Love Lucy, which are about nuclear family, trying to show what traditional family values. And watching the film this time, I really saw it as propaganda in a really sly way, with just how 50s it felt,
It's
like the
Yes, it's
world at the
very
time.
much a 50s feel because it reminds me of like I just watched Peggy Sue Got Married. Um,
I'm not
it's a
sure what that
Francis
is.
Ford
Sorry.
Coppola film. You need to check it. It also
Okay.
has Jim Carrey in it. He plays a dentist that has a cocaine addiction, which is like quite wild. It's just very
Okay.
brief. It's just very brief, but he's doing blow, and it's like I was like, wow, this is a great time to watch this the same week I'm doing the Truman Show. But uh, it's just like
Brilliant.
Peggy Sue Got Married. She gets transported to like the early '60s, which is very much the more like the downfall of everything that happened in the '50s. The president gets assassinated, and it's just the deconstruction of like the the post-war, America, suburbia, and whatnot. But it very much has
Yeah,
the
yeah,
feel of like Back to the Future. These films that are very much set in these picturesque worlds that aren't really picturesque. They do have like Back to the Future is very much picturesque, like I said, but it has some seedy undertone. Like it has dark undertones. Like
yeah.
very much, this is suburbia, but suburbia isn't everything. Isn't as perfect
No.
as you think it is, and that's a good thing
Mm.
because Sea Haven looks perfect and everything, but as we know, as the film goes on, it's all fake. It's all fake, and
Yeah.
it's just
It's not tangible. It's all as his friend says when being interviewed, as it's just
yeah,
control. None of it's fake. It's
yeah.
merely
It's
control.
yeah,
Great
it's
line.
because you know, and they're like, hey, I don't remember what character says it, but it's perfect here. Why would you want to leave here? I don't remember if it was Marlon. I cannot.
I'm not sure. I think it might have been Marlon. He's like, you got a desk job, man. I'd kill for a desk job. No one wants a desk
Uh,
job. That's 50s white
yeah,
collar
and it's
work.
just very much like this is paradise essentially, but paradise is got some thorns. It's got some briars. It's got weeds in it.
Absolutely. And also, like, yeah, but this is what was interesting to me is this time I picked up on it, which I didn't before. No non-straight couples. Very, very, very few non-white
Yes, it's very much
characters.
a white town.
And as the film is a metaphor for like conformity and indoctrination, and Christoph is the media. He's the media studio head controlling everyone through this. They talk about God respectfully. They say they're blessed. They say he's got quite a paintbrush, hasn't he? it's all these 50s nuclear family values. You're going to have a kid, you're going to stick to your job, and then she says, "Oh, we're just going to run away from my financial obligations." Like they're trying to tell people in the 90s watching the show, you have to make sure that you're doing this and whatever. And even though it feels like they're meeting diversity quotas because they have a non-white family across the road who says hello to every morning, and that's about it. There's the bus driver, there's the boat driver. That's about it, really. And they're both people who don't live in the town as well. It feels very odd. Maybe it's just a '90s thing.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a
it's
coincidence
just
that
kind
it's
of
just
Stepford Wives ish. It's very much a too perfect world, and if it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true, and therefore it was. But it just,
yeah.
it just didn't start to crack. But hey, we still don't know if someone was trying to pull the strings behind the scenes. I don't know. It might have
I
been Ed
love that
Harris's
idea so much.
assistant. She seemed like she would do it.
And Paul Giamatti, who just didn't
Oh yeah.
notice that he was
I mean, he
sleeping
was
then and
eating
snuck
that
out.
piece of
Maybe that's
pizza.
part of it.
I mean, he was just.
But it's so plausible that it wasn't picked up on. And people have said, "Oh, well, there's only two people watching. Why would that happen?" Well, he's asleep, and everyone's convinced of that, and no one's suspicious of Truman anymore because he's acting
And did
normally.
you see? I don't know if you clocked this or not, but as Truman's sleeping, you hear that sweeping score and everything. It cuts to the control tower, and there is a man on the piano playing the score to True.
Philip
Yes, and
Glass.
the entire score we hear isn't even a score really. It's just all diegetic music that's in the show. I was
Love it. And that's the actual
I
composer
was like
playing there,
I
not
was
just an
just I was
actor.
watching it. I was like, huh. So I can't believe I didn't notice that until now. But it's just so much little stuff just picking up left and right. And like in the screenplay though, this it doesn't have the talking head sequence at the beginning. There are no interviews. Yes,
Really?
it's
Oh, okay, okay.
it is straight to um his opening with the mirror. Yeah,
Looking
looking in
in
the
the
mirror.
mirror. Okay. So I've got a theory about that, thanks to you revealing this to me. Do you reckon they made the entire film, handed it to the executives, and then they went, the audience have no idea that it's a TV show until about halfway through, where the scale of it's revealed. As clear as it is, there's your cutaway, but they don't know until that moment. You need to make it clear at the beginning. Otherwise, people will just leave the theatre and say it's bad. That's just an idea I've had, which could not be true, but maybe they put that opening in so the audience would know it's a TV show and then be a bit more engaged with it rather than just being confused. That's me being completely theoretical. Could be not true at all, but I love the way it
That
opens.
that
But
is
I've
a good
always
point
thought
because maybe that's when the audience started to transition to we need a bit more information before we become attached.
it's called the Truman Show, so they
Yeah,
should know.
and
I I'd love to show someone who has no idea what the film's about. I just go to the Truman Show. They go, "No, what's it about?" And I go, "Let's watch it, but skip the first 5 minutes and just start with him looking in the mirror, and then see how long it takes him to work it out." I'd love to do that. That'd be great.
there were several sections of the script when he's starting to realize that everything's falling apart. Like for instance, in the screenplay, there's one scene where he goes into this class, the school. It's all the halls are empty. He notices something's weird. He walks by a classroom. He hears sounds of like teacher asking questions and the kids answering and whatnot. He opens it up and all it is just like this sound, like this speaker with like a tape on it. It's just reeling. And he's just it adds more to the realization that his world is just falling apart. It's just all
Yeah,
an illusion. And one of the great this scene is so hilarious is when he follows Meryl to work. She's like, "Oh, there was this
yeah.
big accident, and he's like, oh, can't you stay? No, 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 I gotta be there. and he trails her. He goes to the hospital. He tells her, that one nurse, she's in pre-op right now. And he just, yeah, and he just goes. When he follows her, I love it. It's just this intense scene. This person just like laying there. They're about to start the investigation. He's like scalpel, and it's just like, slow moving, and then the person just like wakes up. They put it back, and they're like, make it's
And
just
that's
the
where the
time.
comedy
It's
is.
so funny. I love it. It's just
And this is one of the few films which hits so many genres and conforms to it really well. Have you seen Shaun of the Dead?
no, but I've seen clips. I know a lot about it.
Yeah, I shan't spoil it, but the narrative follows a romance arc and a zombie horror film arc beautifully in accordance with one another. It's a great script, even though it's hitting both genres aligned so well in a way that should not work. They call it a rom-com because it's also a comedy. And the Truman Show does this. It is in many ways a sci-fi film. It is also a romance film, a drama, a comedy, a political satire,
It is
and a
very much
horror
a
film.
horror film. I agree.
It's all of those genres. You can look at it through any of those lenses, through, like we just said, about conformity, and through the lens of representation within film, about TV production and film production. I watch it as a director, thinking it's beautiful seeing Christoph create this world and then manipulate it. Do I feel guilty for doing that? Because as audience members, we're watching it through Peter Weir, who is manipulating us. These fake actors in a fake studio, in a fake setting. It's hilarious to me that that relationship that we're watching it just as guilty, but the difference being it's a
Yes,
mockumentary.
yeah, basically. And yes, like Halloween could roll around and someone say, "Let's watch a horror movie." You'd be like, "Here, I got one. It's from 1998. It's called The Truman Show." People would be like, "This isn't terrifying." But if you look at it, like you said, from any angle, it is a dark film. Like we've mentioned before, it's
Mm-hmm.
just what they. It shows that humans. I always say humans are the scariest monsters. It's never,
Yeah.
zombies. It's never ghosts. It's never like Frankenstein. It's no monster but humans, because humans are real. Humans,
Mm.
you know, they're tangible. You can touch them. You can touch Frankenstein and whatnot, but it'd be like some
Yeah.
plastic figure or a wax figure somewhere. It's just it's horrifying because, like, Rear Window, for instance, like, shows that humans are monsters. It could be anyone, anywhere, you know, and everyone
Mm-hmm.
has, and humans have just like this ability to just, have this cast this shadow over other humans to make them fear. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned Hitler, even like, having holding this power, and you're thinking, oh well, a monster could do that, and you're thinking, well, monsters aren't real. I've never seen a monster really hold that kind of power, except for like Dracula. But
No.
even that, you're just like, eh, garlic, and
Yeah.
some holy
Piercing.
water,
Human.
you get rid of them. But it's just, you could watch it and just think how terrible humans are. And you can
Yeah.
be like, oh, Kristoff's terrible. And like you said, the audience is as terrible because
They're
they're
even more
yes,
accountable because they've paid to
they
they're
yes.
paying to watch it. For merchandise and views, it's shocking. And also this idea of watching the mundane. This is before Vine and TikTok and social media really, and people watch people doing nothing on YouTube all the time. And this film doesn't predict that necessarily because there's always an interest in cinema verite in seeing the mundane. You see that in horror films where you see someone opening closets and then suddenly there's a scary thing. It makes it more shocking. But there's a real pleasure in watching the mundane now that I do not understand in watching someone cook food. There's an art to it. I have no interest in sitting down and then watching someone just try out a new pasta sauce
If
because I can do it
anything, I'm
myself.
going to be eating food while they're doing that, because if anything, it's just
Yeah,
making me more hungry. But yeah, it's
that's a
just
great
like
idea.
that's what I always do.
And yet, That's a fun idea. But the idea of sitting down and just watching a person do things live is now actually quite
It's the
popular.
same. I have the same feeling for video gamers, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but
That's a
people that
great
sit
point.
and watch video gamers game for an hour instead of playing the game themselves baffles me.
Unless they're learning something like a secret
Yes,
hack or
but
trick or get a special
yeah,
technique,
but
I get that.
I don't
I don't
game either,
game.
so I could, but I'd just drop it like the tip of a hat because it
Yeah,
just has no interest. I have no interest in it. But I could watch people, like, I will watch people react to films that they've never seen before, but to me, if I've seen the film, I'm looking for more of, like, how do they react to this? How do they think about it? And they usually give their thoughts, but that's not really watching the mundane. You are watching people react to cinema verite, like you explained. It's
there's
Yeah,
a
there's
subject there.
something to really break apart, and you see them break apart. You see them have opinions and whatnot. If you're watching someone game, they're just like, I don't know, just shooting people or finding stuff or whatever, and just commentating. And it, you could do the same with film. Just watch a film with a commentary, but you still get so much more out of it than you would watching
Yeah,
someone cooking or someone game or something like that.
and I'm sure there are restaurateurs or food critics that love watching people react to eating food. That makes sense to me. You have like a specific interest, but in a YouTuber who does YouTube for a living, and today I'm going off shopping and trying different malls to see which mall is the best.
Yes, I don't understand that whatsoever.
Like, or I'm going clothes shopping today. Where's the interest? Truman is is working and going home to his fake marriage and having a beer with his mate. If I were a studio head in the '90s and I was given that script, I'd say, yeah, but why the hell did anyone watch that? I really would. And now I can see the audience. Maybe it's our generation. Maybe it's always been a thing. Maybe if this whole idea came out in the '40s, we would have seen the Truman Show made in the '50s, and then it would be a remake in the '90s. But the way that it's kind of predicted that this transition is quite
Yeah,
interesting.
like
It's really
even like I cannot pronounce it. I'm gonna butcher that. Like I don't know if it's mukbang. Like there's just videos of people eating food. I cannot watch those. If I'm gonna see someone eating food, I'm gonna be eating food, and that's the only person I want to see eating food. just like, just like as you're snacking. No, I'm kidding. You're fine. You're fine. But it's just I don't get the appeal for it at all. I want something that makes me think. And even though the
yeah,
Truman Show is about the mundane, it is a film that makes you think.
yeah. No, and the viewers of this podcast, it's quite meta. They're watching two people talk, but it's about something that hopefully they have an interest in, and hopefully they're learning something. But it's very interesting. And you mentioned how horrifying the film is with this control. I think the most horrifying part to me is when he's had the breakdown after the nuclear power plant and he's threatened his wife, and then he sits with his best mate, and then he's really vulnerable with him and says, we don't hear him say it, but he's clearly on the drive there, gone. I'm having a real sort of, what's the word, like a paranoia sort of fear, and then he's gone to him for comfort, which is such a human impulse. And his friend is going, there is no there is no thing, because if that were true, I'd have to be part of it too. The last thing I'd ever do is lie to you. And then they reveal at that point that the lines are being fed. And the choice to not establish that in the beginning is brilliant, because that revealing of context makes everything horrible, makes everything even worse. But the choice to do it then is just beautiful. It's just beautiful because it's the moment that he then shifts to going back to conformity, either knowing it's not real or because he actually believes it. but that specific moment to do it, right when things are most like heightened, the stakes are most high, to then go, all of them have no choice over what they say except for Truman. That's just horrifying. And the idea as well, he's called Truman because it's quite literal. He's the only true man in that place, and then Christoph of God of Christ. That's where you really see that relationship coming into fruition in such a brutal way, and that's the real brutality of the film. I think is that your whole environment's being controlled. I'm not a particularly what's the word, like those crazy theories. I don't get into those, but like
theories. Yeah,
that's the word. I'm not that kind of person, but if I were, I would be applying this film and its ideology to those kind of theories all the time. I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic film. Everyone has to experience it once in their life. Just like seeing my sister and brother experience it for their first time was just great enough. It was just.
I'd say everyone has to watch it twice. Just to get more out of it.
If you have to watch it a third, watch it a third. If you have to watch it a fourth, just keep going until you feel like you feel fulfilled, essentially. But like you and the Banshees of Inisherin, you just kept watching it. So
yeah, I couldn't stop. I've contained myself now and managed to go back a bit, but I'll rewatch it soon and get back into a spiral.
Man, but it's okay. I watched Casablanca 6 times in a week, and because I kept getting something new out of it every time, and I only watch it once a year now. But
just in case you don't want to ruin it, I mean, I rewatched it 2 months ago for the first time in, I think it's 2 years.
Oh, it's so good, and I watched it with my family too. I love my family, but they just don't like film as much as I do. They're very much we'll watch, they like action shows and whatnot. And I like some of that stuff, but I'm not just going to watch it all the time. I like something that makes me think or whatnot. But when I do show them a movie, they typically get something out of it, and their reactions are fantastic. When we did watch Casablanca, they were just like, my mom was just in there. She's like, had tears in her eyes. She's like, is he gonna get on the plane with her? And I'm like, I can't say anything. And it's just
that's so beautiful. I love that.
Like, they had great reactions, and like my youngest brother, he has seen Sunset Boulevard about as much as I have, and he enjoys it. And you would think a 12-year-old would watch a movie from 1950 in black and white. That's very meta, about as meta as this film, and enjoy it, but he loves it. But
I'm just to interrupt. My friends just got back to me. The one I'm calling Mary, that isn't her actual name. Just the person that I said, well, what about the Mary show? Oh no, I've said too much. She just replied saying, Coco, why would you say that in all caps? I'm putting into a midlife crisis now.
Yeah, well.
Carry on with Casablanca.
It's phenomenal reactions from everyone. And have you seen the film On Golden Pond?
No, but I've seen Sunset Boulevard. I need to rewatch it because I didn't like it. So I need to rewatch it. And I'm a big Billy Wilder fan. It's his most acclaimed one.
I don't know. It's like that, The Apartment, or something like it. I like The Fortune Cookie. Oh, it's an incredible Billy Wilder film. Jack Lemmon plays a cameraman for CBS, and he gets injured filming a football game, and his brother-in-law, played by Walter Matthau, tries to get him to scam the football team out of a bunch of money. Just like, it's hilarious. I forgot how funny it was. It's incredible. Just so many good films. Also, why did you rate Blazing Saddles 2.5 stars?
I just didn't care for it. It's really annoying because I wanted to. There's bits that I loved. The end was so charming, but I found a lot of it just not my kind of thing. I love westerns. I love neo-westerns. So it was fun to see that played within using the Hollywood studio set. Was just hilarious.
I think it's so funny.
I love the producers. That's
I
so fun,
I
and
watched The
that's brilliant.
Producers for the first time earlier this year because I love Mel Brooks. I have almost all of his films,
Yeah,
and Spaceballs is just influential for me. So I'm like, I've got to seek out more of his films. But uh, The
yeah,
Producers was funny. Gene Wilder's performance is fantastic. It's just,
it's great. I
yeah, it's
love
just like
it.
nervous, like pins and needles the entire time. I love it. Uh,
Before Willy Wonka, he knew
Even
where
in
he was
Bonnie and
going,
Clyde,
didn't he?
he's great.
Oh,
Which
he's
I
so
watched
funny.
with my brother, who's closest to me in age. We watched Bonnie and Clyde. It was his first time watching it, and I'd watched it. I'm like, you need to watch this film. He'd always wanted to watch it. He just walked in. He's like, "What are you watching?" 5 minutes in, Bonnie and Clyde. He just sat down. He's like, "We have to watch it." And we were watching it, and
Great.
he said, "When was this movie made?" And I'm like, "1967." He said, "No." I said, "Yeah," and he said, "This feels like it was made yesterday." And I'm like, "This is called good editing, good filmmaking." I said, "This is just a good movie." You, you cannot
Exactly.
feel the time. Time is just not a. I cannot word this right. You do not feel like pace or anything in a good film. It's just it happens and it's over.
Yeah, and I was saying this to my lecturer last week because I'm doing a dissertation film, and it's all been done in one shot. And my priority is talking about time in film and how by sticking with real time, by not having cuts, by not having the choice to look at something else, you're more immersed, you're more grounded, you're sticking with the characters. Because in every single film you watch, there is a passing of time. You can't avoid that. And in a great film, you don't feel it normally. Maybe there are great films that you don't enjoy where you don't feel it, but if you want to really enjoy a film, normally you don't feel time passing, and you get that in Billy Wilder films. And I'm just looking now on Letterboxd. I've seen 9 of them, and it's interesting. The Apartment and There's a Bit of Art. We mentioned are the most acclaimed ones, at least according to Letterboxd and the Oscars. But my least favorite ones, I prefer all the others that I've seen, which is kind of shocking. But that shows how
Yeah,
good the
it's
director
just
is for the other.
like I always say, everyone has an opinion, can have an opinion. I say movies are art, and art is subjective. You don't have to like it, but you can acknowledge it. You have to. You cannot,
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna say this. I get flack for it all the time. I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. I
understandable.
can't.
It's not for everyone.
I
You are wrong,
I
but no,
kid
joke.
you not. I've tried to watch it 3 times. I fell asleep every viewing, and I
But at
give
least you
time
try.
between it, and I still watch it, and I fall asleep. I'm like, I cannot do this. Yet I will watch All the President's Men,
Oh,
which is a 2 hour plus film with no score whatsoever about Woodward and Bernstein, and I am captivated. And they're not even going on
it's more personal,
a
I
mythical
guess.
quest. I don't know.
Like I guess it's a bit. I prefer films normally with small scale and it's more intimate, but sometimes you want a larger than life film like Lord of the Rings, and Truman Show does both, which is great. You feel like you're watching a historical event like the moon landing
Yes.
as you're watching it. The same thing in Dune Part Two. You feel like you're watching something historical in front of your eyes, like a witness, and that's so exciting as a viewer. Um, but I think that it also has that really personal, intimate nature to it. Like that's where its roots are as a film, and that's what you care about. And Lord of the Rings, it has those moments if you can feel them, but you have to be the right person, otherwise it just won't work for you. I'm glad that you've tried to rewatch it. So you've
Yeah,
given it the
I
time.
always try to watch some.
My best friend was watching it last night. He had a beer and a nice meal, and then he's watching Return of the King, and he was like, "I wish you were here." So,
Yeah.
me too.
It's just, yeah, this film's great. But like you were saying, the but you can always tell what's going to be a great film. You can always tell when you're watching it. You're like, this is it. There's a big difference between a critically acclaimed film and a great film. Like for instance, we were talking earlier, Shakespeare in Love, critically acclaimed, but is it a great film?
It's
It's
a
a good
good
film. You
film.
can take it. I could take it or leave it. The Truman Show. It is a great film. Is it also critically acclaimed?
It's
Yes, but it's more of its I don't know, influence on the culture, its influence on cinema itself. It's the influence is greater than the acclaim always.
Yeah, and I have a list of films in my head at least where I've recommended it to people. I've never had anyone go didn't like it, and I know that whenever I recommend it, I'm gonna get a great response, or I'm gonna have a shock that they don't love it. And Truman Show is one of those films. It just is. It just hits everyone on a personal level. They can all relate to the feeling, and they get a lot out of it emotionally, and it makes you think without lecturing you. It just gives you enough. It points you in the direction, and then you're able to come up. I mean, we've been
I
talking about
know
it for
it's
2.5 hours
crazy.
because it's
Yeah, I asked
so.
how long you want to talk about it, and therefore it just kept going.
It's midnight here. My friend may not even watch 8.5, but hopefully he will. Um, but before we do finish, I wanted to say about how my mum's experience with the film, which I think you'll find quite interesting. She watched it when it came out, didn't like it. Now she's not a Jim
Oh,
Carrey fan, and she doesn't rewatch films like right after the other. She needs a bit of time, which I think makes sense because then it doesn't ruin it for you. But I think it was 2 years ago, maybe last year. I asked her to watch it, and she said I don't like it. And I said, when did you last watch it? She's like, oh, 25 years ago. And I said, well, let's give it a try. And she was totally up for it. But she said to her, it's blurred with all the other Jim Carrey films, which my partner called stereotypically shitty comedies. And I agree, most of them are pretty dull. Really, they got low ratings and they're not deep. I watched Cable Guy on my friend's 18th. I hated it. I just did not care for it. But we were watching Truman Show. The moment it started, she loved it. Like the moment the opening scene came on, where he's saying, good morning, afternoon, and all that, she just loved it. She just loved it, and she cried. And I thought every time that I say I don't like that film, I'm not going to rewatch it. I have to give it a try. I'll rewatch Cable Guy if someone says it made them cry, just in case. But she made me realize how dark the film was. I thought it was a good comedy with a strong ideology. I did not realize how dark it was until she was talking about how they're taking the most human instinct to love someone and then controlling that and saying no, you can't have that person that you want. And well, they both want each other. It's even more painful. And she really exposed that side of the film. The manipulation of a human being is the most upsetting part, and she watched it through that lens. Not a Jim Carrey film, it's a Peter Weir film that Jim Carrey nails and just takes it into cinema history in the best way. So she now loves it, and I mean I'll show it to her again sometime.
yes, those are wise words for anyone. Just take your advice. Just if you don't like it the first time, give it another try. Just you may not like the next time, but at least you gave it another shot.
Exactly, and like when she watched it, she said at the end, she was like, "Do you reckon he leaves the dome, and then we could do a sequel where there's another big dome around it, and the one that you see in the film is actually the bigger dome they've got around the smaller one." And I was like, if Christoph didn't care so much about him leaving that, I'd agree. And also, if we couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't then get a flight to everywhere around the world, yes. But ultimately, he's always going to be watched, and that's what she spotlighted to me: is that he's always going to be like a pet to everyone. The way that Christoph strokes him, you could say it's fatherly. To me, it's like someone
That's
stroking
what I
fur on
said.
an animal.
Like earlier, like he sees himself as such a father-like figure to Truman, but he's as far as a father could be from a child. Just he's anything but a father. Even if he,
Yeah. I'd love to tell you what, a great short film would be an interview where we get Ed Harris to stay in character and Jim Carrey.
yeah,
They're both alive, and get the two of them to sit down and talk out. That'd be it. That'd be great. That'd be so like sort of like Frost
hey, we
Nixon
can
kind
start
of thing.
writing. No, I'm kidding. Let's contact Andrew Niccol, just be like, hey, we need your permission. Just be like,
yeah, the adaptation idea. I think maybe he's thought about it. Maybe the studio don't want to finance it. I think it's best that this film was left untouched, but there's enough leeway for it to, for a potential kind of future. But I think that just going, the show's over, therefore you don't get to see anymore. I'm so glad it doesn't show him going out and seeing the real world. It just stops. And that horrifying line, what else is on? Where's the TV guide?
Yeah, it's just, the world keeps going, and then even after he's gone, it's just, it like...
It's just a 30-year going on show end, and a prisoner leave his cell, and they're asking where else he's on.
It's dark, it's brutal, but it's a fan.
It comments on spectatorship, and you were saying about how with film it's bottomless, it's just ongoing. We had the same problem. After this podcast, we're going to go, well, what next?
Yeah, I'm like...
It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting how we're going to go from this, and then maybe if you have me back.
We'll definitely have you back.
Oh, that's very kind. I hope so.
I mean, so far this is the longest episode I've ever had on this podcast. People will probably be tired of hearing my squeaky voice, but I don't care. It's just, there's just so much to pick apart in this film, and it's just, we could write a book and you still not cover everything. It's just because everyone, like I said, has a different view of everything. You could just take your own, take your own truth of what you think the film is.
Yeah.
And I'm just a country hick, so hey, what do I like? I'm just like,
what does country hick mean?
That's what we're saying. Like,
mean?
I'm from the South, so we're considered idiots. Like that's just how it is. But yeah,
that's not true.
It's funny though, because I'm not the stereotypical Southerner. Like, typically the Southern guys are like, yeah, let's go hunting and fishing and work on cars, and I'm like, no, I'm going to sit inside and watch movies and think about these things. But luckily I have friends that are also the same way, which is hilarious, because we're all like, we're the most unmanly men considered living in the South.
It's true. I got an interview for an internship last week for a film festival, and she said, the woman interviewing me, she said, in the politest way, you're a film geek, you're a film nerd. She meant it in a nice way, but and I agree. I think it's a badge of honor to have.
Everyone's just like, are you a nerd? It's just like, yes, I am. It's like,
it's not attractive.
Yeah,
it's funny.
I mean, it's not attractive, but I'm just glad that there are people that love cinema. I'm finding out, when I started this, it was last year, I just had an epiphany. I was listening to all these film podcasts. I listened to the Re-Watchables, The Big Picture. I listened to so many different ones, and I'm like, it'd be so fun to do this, because there's a big chance I won't ever be on these podcasts, but just to have my own and to talk to other people, that would be nice. And I was just like, I've got to do it. Just, why not? I'm just going to take a gamble. And my friend, bless his heart, he's trying to be a mixed martial arts fighter, and he's 2.5 years into training and everything, and he's very close to earning his purple belt. And he's like, he just looks at me, he's like, how did you get so lucky? He said, you just thought, I'm going to do this, I'm going to roll with it. He said, you're gaining connections left and right. He said, your podcast is doing. He said, how does this happen? I said, I don't know. I said, I'm just gambling at this point. I'm just like, why not?
Yeah, how many views do you get?
I haven't looked at the stats in a while, but I feel like this one will be the biggest yet.
Well, with any luck, I mean, it's a great film, so people will click on it. I mean, I saw, you talk about people to get on. I saw a YouTube video, a video essay, where they got the editor of Dune 2 to do a voiceover for it, and they have 6,000 subscribers. The guy has an Oscar. Yes. Joe Walker is a very in-demand guy, and they were like, yeah, He just did it in his own time. I don't know if he got money for it, but if you were to do a controversial Dune 2 rip apart while I praise it, and get Joe Walker there to give his 2 cents, that would be great.
I should try and find him somewhere. Yeah,
Who
I need to
knows?
find him.
Who knows? He may love that idea. He may hate it, but he'll never be happy.
Yeah, it's all a gamble at this point. I'm just like, why not? Like in August, I'm getting a film professor, and we're talking Psycho, and I'm so excited. I'm just like, how did I do this? How did I do this? I'm like,
That's
all I'm
great.
doing.
Oh, if you need a spare talker, it's one of my top. It's one of my few 10 out of 10s. I have like 13,
Yeah,
and that's one of them.
I'm just gonna take this chance. Just why not try? Life's too short, and it's just like right there. And I'm just. It surprised me every day. Like every day's a new surprise. I just tell my friends, I'm like, guys, you'll never believe this. Like I have, like even LinkedIn, like it's just. I found out you can connect to the film community like crazy, and I keep getting these connections at Pixar Animation Studios too, and I'm like, holy crap. I'm just like, and
That's
I'm just
great,
like,
man.
I
That's brilliant.
just keep sending screenshots. I'm like, guys, you'll never believe. And then my one friend who's just trying so hard to get into the UFC, I'm like, I'm sorry. He said, what are you doing? He said, and I said, I'm doing nothing. I said, I'm just, I work my 9 to 5 job. I like watch movies. I'm like, let's try this. And then there it is. It just right there in my lap. And he said, can I get some of that luck? I was like, I don't know if it is even luck. I said, I don't know. I'm just surprised every day. And
Yeah.
I'm just very blessed to have this podcast. Just get to talk film with whoever.
And I'm blessed that you wanted me as a guest, especially from the UK. It's quite a distance, so it's great that we're living in a time where we haven't got to meet in
Well,
person
yeah,
today.
no, it's just the podcasting medium is just radio is back, and people won't say it, but it is. It's always been it. But yeah,
It's exciting.
it is.
It's very exciting, especially with at least 2.5 hours,
I
maybe
know
3 hours.
it's
People will still
ridiculous.
be listening.
They're
Hopefully,
probably tired by now.
I wish I could hear more of their thoughts. I'll tell you something that one of my friends said. I'm just going to get the quote because I don't want to misrepresent anyone. If I can get this up, basically, I asked people, "What are your complaints about the film?" Yeah, and she said, she wished we didn't know it was a TV show. We found out with him. That would have been fantastic. What do you think about that?
I think it would be very much like. Have you seen The Sixth Sense? I think it would
Yeah.
be like that. I think it would be like, when you rewatch The Sixth Sense, I don't rewatch it for the twist now because I know it's coming. It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
You would watch it just like you would watch The Sixth Sense. You're like, oh, this is when they reveal that it's a show or whatnot. But if you
And it's
know that it's a show going into it, you can watch it more. You will glean more, ideas, theories and whatnot about the film than you would The Sixth Sense, because once that shock has happened the first time, unless you get amnesia, you're not going to be as shocked again the second
I want to have amnesia just
or
so I can
time.
watch Interstellar
Yeah,
for the first time again.
but it's just it would not have the same staying power. The Sixth Sense
Yeah.
is very much deep in our pop culture as the Truman Show, but it's not as influential as the Truman Show.
Yeah.
People in cinema class, I haven't taken a film class. Like I've taken some, but they're very much like myself, and they're not from Harvard or any prestigious film classes. But I'm pretty sure that The Sixth Sense is. There's a slim chance it's not taught in film classes, but the Truman Show.
Never
But the
been
Truman
mentioned to me
Show
once in any
surely
film
is
class.
mentioned way more because it
None of our lecturers have gone, you have to watch Truman Show because I think it's been seen. So they haven't had to spotlight it as a key
But it
reference. But,
should be.
most of my
Yeah,
friends have seen
it's
it. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the best. And on Letterboxd, it's the, I don't know about the statistics, but as far as I'm aware, it's the number one film that goes off the 250 and then back on the top 250. It keeps happening, and right now it's at 250. So it's about to go off again. The next time a new film comes out that's great, it'll go off the chart again and
yeah.
then come right back.
I don't think people
And
can get enough of it.
and I'm going to make sure it
Yes,
stays up there with this podcast, with this
it
this
needs to.
discussion.
It's an incredible film. Just
And if there were a remake, I
yes,
wouldn't
I
watch
would.
it.
I
Really.
would sign those petitions. I would make sure that that film got. I do not. I am a big supporter of film. I enjoy filmmakers, and the work they put into their craft. But I would run that film into the ground because I do not. We do not need it. It is not necessary. And right now, at the age of social media and reality TV, where it is now, we are too outdated for the Truman Show. It would have to be.
Yeah.
It would essentially be, and what I know of the Matrix and what I've seen clips and stuff of. That's essentially what it would be. It would be so futuristic, so like it would not be any. It wouldn't be realistic whatsoever. Even though the Truman Show isn't, but it is at the same time. It wouldn't have.
It's treated with such realism. That's what's great about it. Is that it takes a very fantastical event and then treats it like it's actually happening. You get the same kind of feeling with the film. Have you seen A Celebration?
No.
It's a great film. I think it's from Denmark, and it's not shot at the Truman Show, but I met the person who filmed it. I've forgotten his name, but he's got an Oscar now. He worked on Slumdog Millionaire, so he won the Oscar for it, and he made this film called Celebration with the guy who directed Another Round, Thomas Vinterberg, where over the course of one evening there's a family reunion. It's big. It's this guy's father's birthday, head of the family, and then this awful thing is said. I won't say what it is. It's a massive spoiler, and then it's about how everyone treats that bit of information and how it unravels. But it's shot with no direction for the camera, no marks for the actors to stand on, no props. It's part of the Dogma 95 movement. So there's no good and evil. There's just this situation, and it's shot with such realism, with uncomfortable pans and tilts and really wide lenses, and it feels real. The acting is so authentic; it feels like you're actually seeing it unfold. And the Truman Show does that as well, where you feel like you're actually seeing something take place in front of you. And part of it is the deep focus. I'm not sure how much you know about lenses and cameras, but do you know what deep
Yes,
focus is?
well, yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen Citizen Kane. I've
yeah,
taken photography classes. Yes, I know that everything is just in
great,
frame, front, back,
awesome.
mid ground.
Yeah, so I'm in focus right now, so it's a background. But if we lowered the f-stop and then shifted the focus on just me, and there's a blurry background, it wouldn't happen because the idea with this lens is that I can do this, and I'm in focus the whole time. And in Truman Show, there are very, very, very few shots where there is a soft focus, a shallow focus, where you can't see the background, there's everything's crisp. And the idea of that, it obviously, is that when Truman's walking around, there's no risk that he's going to go out of focus. And because everything is in focus, it feels so real. It really feels like there's no one there twisting the lens or twisting the focus to make sure that it's properly crisp. It's been left there statically, which is it just feels so immersive because of that, which I just love. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Do you have anything else to say, or?
I'll look through my notes because all the rest of them are quite like specific. Do you have any more notes or ideas about it? We covered the whole thing.
We covered it, and then we uncovered it and covered it again, and repeatedly did.
I will scoop through. Absolutely. Okay, I was going to check what else I haven't pointed out to hear your opinion. You can cut this bit as I'm looking.
No, I might leave it in. It's for fun.
Oh yeah, the rise of mass surveillance.
Yeah, we
We
do.
discussed that. Here's something that I think is quite juicy. Okay, I love this. Shots outside of the world of the Truman Show, like the man in the bathtub, the two old ladies watching it, the bar. They're all shot from where the TV is. Almost like there's a camera there watching them. It's just like Truman Show. It's shot statically. There's no panning, there's no zooms. It's just left there with these wide lenses. And I'm wondering if they're being surveyed as well. With deep focus as well. So you don't feel like someone's there, lining up the shot. And obviously in the film, the whole premise is this is one person watching the show. But I love that Peter Weir stayed consistently with that film language, so it feels like everyone's being surveyed, but you don't feel it. But you're being told it. You can just sense something when you watch it because it doesn't. The film language doesn't change. It's consistent throughout, and in that moment, you get quite an uncomfortable impression that they're being watched too. I just wonder what you thought about that.
It's a great theory. I'm going to have to find Andrew Niccol somewhere and just like instead of this episode, just say, listen, it's about 3 hours worth of theories and talking about your screenplay. It's like we have questions and we need answers, and he might not.
And we need to get him an Oscar for that and take away the one from
Yes, just be
Shakespeare in
like,
Love.
go to the Academy and be like, listen, we might not have any power, but because their branches are huge, but I don't know how.
They don't take away
You
Oscars.
sat like,
Once
could we just have a do?
let
Can
us
we get
know.
like an honorary Oscar for like Andrew Niccol? I don't know. Like, I mean, I know who the candidates are for next year's governor's awards, but
He deserves recognition. Yeah, I just I don't understand how you get. I get it's part of the best picture package that it wins screenplay because it's not getting director because that is going to Spielberg, but which is earned. Not about Peter Weir, but it's at least it's earned. But that script, flawless dialogue, flawless ideology. It feels huge in scale but intimate, like we discussed earlier, and it also is universal. That's the best part of a great film, is that it genuinely feels universal, even though it's set in a specific time and place. Anyone can watch it and have a feeling that they relate to them. They have sympathy
because
for the
Shakespeare
character.
in Love is very much set in the the Elizabethan age. It's just like it's these frills and everything, and no one dresses like that or looks like that anymore, or talks like with these thous. And but when you watch the Truman Show, you don't know what time it takes place. It has this.
No, and they're great period pieces. Obviously,
Yes.
I'm sure you know that, but obviously we all know that. But there's something about the Truman Show which feels like it's in a weird point in time, whereas like period pieces like Ran or Portrait of Lady on Fire, which are very specific with where and when these are taking place, still feel so broad and universal. The story feels timeless, and the Truman Show is the epitome of that. It really is. It feels like it will always be relevant, and it's just getting more and more relevant as we get more immersed with cameras and being surveyed, for good or for bad. And that's why I love it. It doesn't take a moral stance on it. Obviously, it suggests that Truman leaving is a great thing, but there's no sort of like condemning of Christoph. The police don't come in. The government doesn't attack him. I love that.
Yeah, it's an ending that just it leaves everything up for question. You can interpret it any way you want to, and it's just up for you to decide. You actually are the creator of how the story ends.
Yeah.
And, well, like I said earlier, I believe that Sylvia came to his rescue, but I'm pretty sure after that was,
Mm.
like I said, many years of therapy, just
Mm.
having to, like, even, I don't even think they have cash in the Truman Show, like where he lives. Like
No.
everything was on cards, so he might even like handle like cash for the first time, like paper money. I don't know. It's just so many different ways you could. I'm telling you, I gotta find Andrew Niccol a question.
Do you know what he probably did? Oh, this is exciting. I hadn't even thought of this. So, most of the music in the film is classical music or it's score by the composer of the film. Other than, I guess, 20th Century Boy when it's a dance party, you know. Um, Part of that would be for royalty reasons for the show to play classical music that they've recorded without having to pay a composer, without having to pay any studios or any sort of producers. They can just use that music royalty free. Has he seen any films? I know he watches I Love
I
Lucy,
don't
but
know. Like
they
when they
there were
well,
no
they were
posters anywhere.
talking like before he watched I Love Lucy. They had this Turner Classic Movies like esque intro to an older film that was very fictional, but it was very much like if you watch Turner Classic Movies, um, they will do an intro, talking about the film facts and whatnot, and it was kind of like that. But other than that, I don't really think it gives us any more information. Which this movie, actually, The Truman Show, made its Turner Classic Movies debut just last year. It took a long time. Like Shakespeare in Love made its debut like in 2005 or something. Like it was early 2000s is when they're like Shakespeare in Love
That was irrelevant by
classic,
then.
and then it's just like Truman Show. I don't know if they could not get the rights to it or what, but
It's not like a personal. It's not like I just love it so much it has to be there. It's like everybody loves it, and it is universal, which so few films are. And there, like you said before about great films, it is a great film. And if Jim Carrey didn't have that film in his filmography, I personally wouldn't care for him at all. I don't even like Eternal Sunshine
I,
of the Spotless Mind, which I'm wrong about. Everyone, I know it's a good film. I
yeah,
just don't
like I
like it.
said, you can not like it, but you can acknowledge it.
Yeah, I'm excited to rewatch it though
Oh
because it's
yeah,
been
well
two
then you
years.
might have a new outlook on life, but it's just
I hope so.
it's something that it just should be taught in all cinema classes. Like everyone needs to watch it once in their life. It
Yeah,
it truly, like I said it over and over. I'm going to say it is a great film. It's just its impact is just too great to be ignored.
absolutely. And there are films in my top 10, or like 10 out of 10s rather, that I don't think everyone has to see before they die. I really don't. There are plenty there that I think you can get by. Truman Show, I don't even give 10 out of 10. I give it a 9. It should be a 10, but I reserve those for the greats. Like, I've got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as one of my 10 out of 10s. That is not a film that everyone has to see before they die. It just hits me in a very weird way. Or like Psycho, everyone should watch it. But if a friend of mine at the age of 80 hadn't seen it, I wouldn't be like, "What did you do with your life?" But Truman Show, I'd be like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
like
watching it
you
right now."
have to watch it, and it's a film that anyone that has seen it, no matter who they are, will. I haven't seen one person say a bad thing about it. Like,
One person said it's overrated
oh
when I put
no,
my thing,
well
when I
there.
put my thing up. And he hasn't replied to my question asking what is it about. I sent it very late, like an hour, like 4 hours ago. I should have sent it earlier in the day, really. But I'm
If you get an
dying
answer
to
back,
know
just let me know.
what it is. Do a
But
sequel.
it's just, and like even my coworker who believes like the Earth's flat and whatnot, he
Really?
loves this film. Like I was talking about it, I'm like, do you like the Truman Show, or like have you seen it? He said yes. He said it's a fantastic film. And this is a guy who's a conspiracy theorist, and I'm just like this. And I was,
Oh,
and I'm
I
like,
bet he loves it.
this film permeates all outlooks on life. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just you can find some way of connecting with this film, and it's just too great. I feel like it's so great, but yet so vastly underappreciated at the same time.
It, it's this weird in between where it's in the 250, but it's at the bottom of the 250 and struggles to stay in there. And there are plenty of films on that list that don't need to be there. Really, I'm not saying it should be in the top 100 even.
Yes,
there
there
are
are,
greater films
but
that exist, but it's not just a personal favorite of mine. I'm glad that it is. If I didn't like it, I'd be annoyed because I'd know that I'm wrong. But no, it's just universal. One person asked me, "Do you think the Lego Movie copied the film?" And it took me a minute to think about it. But yeah, person created this world so we can enjoy watching it, and obviously Emmett in that film learns that the world isn't real, and then has to accept
but Emmett
the real world
learns,
and
but
conformity.
Emmett has like people that are like, you are special. You're the special. Like you have meaning in life. You can escape the city and whatnot. But like it's total opposite of the Truman Show, because the Truman Show is like you should stay in Sea Haven. You're fine where
Yeah,
you're at. It's just like your life's good. You're a decent person. It's nothing like Emmett gets like this. He worshipped essentially because everyone's like, this is the guy who is going to help us, and the Truman Show is just like, how are you, Truman? That's about it. Until he finds out that his whole life is built around him, but he's just unaware to begin with, and it's
yeah,
I feel like it is a completely different movie. They're two different movies.
yeah.
The Lego Movie is
But the
fantastic.
idea that it's inspired from it, it's underrated. Not in a way that Truman Show is, but yeah, it's underrated. Um, I think the premise is very much its own in the Lego Movie, but it's a comparison that I never thought about ever, which is quite funny. Also, I just counted the numbers of all of my friends on Letterboxd who've seen the Truman Show. 53. The lowest rating is a 6 out of 10. But what that means is that there's not a single person of those 53 who don't think it's at least good, and that's 2 3 out of 10s. And one of the people who's given it a 3 out of 10, I know loves it more than 6 out of 10. I know loves it more. Also, there's three of them. Sorry, three of them think it's a 6 out of 10, and the other person's opinion, I don't care to hear about. So most of these are 9s, 8s, and 10s, which makes me very happy and just proves your point. It's not just a great film; it is one of the greats, and yeah, it deserves that hype. One of the details that I wanted to spotlight, if I could find what it was, if I can see it, where was it? Maybe I'm just. Oh yeah, the extras. They feel like they're acting, which is so funny. Like there are little imperfections in what they're doing, which feels performative. That once you look for it, it's so funny. Like when he's in the bus, and the bus isn't going, and the driver's looking nervous, and he looks up in the mirror. Everyone's just sat like this, looking like they're
Even
trying
that
to look
kid's
not
like,
busy.
yeah, like
Is that?
is that the? And then she's just trying to hush, like, because and
Yeah, but she gets like almost like a close up. Like the shot is about her, and then there's a reaction shot of Truman being like, they're like what? But they all just sat there. You can feel them looking, trying not to act. And you get the same thing with the two police officers. Like next time I have to file charges, and then the guy, the door closes, and he sort of like nervously like tips his hat, like he thinks he's doing the right thing by doing that, which is just so funny. It's so funny. I can relate to that, like struggling to act. And one of the best ones is when the two twins, push him against the advert, and they go, that deal, we're gonna go for it, or whatever he said. Oh, we're thinking about it. Next week would be great. And then they just look at each other and then just go, well, it was good to see you, because they don't know what line to say, and they don't know what they're doing, and it's such a funny interaction where you can feel them as actors not knowing what to do next. And you see that, because I direct, you see that in takes of films that I've worked on where they don't know what they're doing because they hadn't been directed by someone. And you can see that in the Truman Show now. When you see those outtakes of films that I've worked on, you see it in this context. It's just hilarious. It's just hilarious.
And it's intentional too, because it's, his show. It's
Peter Weir hasn't just gone, oh yeah, do this, and then they do it, and then they, oh, you didn't tip your hat, that's great, and then you nervously did it. He's gone, I want you to nervously reach for your hat and then kind of tip it, and then walk away feeling a bit embarrassed that you didn't know what you were doing. And they did it so well.
Oh, and when the bus breaks down and they're like, well, the bus is down, like, everyone immediately gets up. It's the fastest group of people to leave a bus I've ever seen.
And no one's annoyed at the bus driver.
Complaining. No one's like, I need to be at this.
Because it's the perfect part.
Just too perfect.
I love that imperfection, because like you say, it's intentional. That's a word that we haven't used. When you watch this film, there's not just a confidence to it. There's intent with every detail, and I mean every detail, because the whole film is someone's within the film. So it has to be that detailed. And Weir's made great films, but he's now quit directing now. But there's no film that compares to this in any way. Lego Movie or whatever, or Matrix.
It's fantastic, but
certainly. There's something else that I picked up on that I don't want to forget about. The first time I watched the film, when the boat crashed into the wall, my jaw dropped. Because that false perspective.
That happened to my brother. Real. He thought, he was like, what? But when we see the dome, we see it, and I think we don't think anything about it. Because when it zooms out, it's like Truman's 24/7, like on the satellite and everything. It zooms out, and we see it, and I don't think we think about it after that much. But then when he hits the dome and breaks through the wall, you're like, oh yeah. It's just like, yeah. And you start to notice it, though, when the shadow of the boat just starts to get closer. You're like, oh, that's not sky.
But then his shocked reaction, and I felt like him in that moment
of him walking along the wall into the stairs is the most, it is poetic. It is beautiful. It is it's one of those, you just want to cry, like how beautiful it is.
And he appears like Jesus walking on that water.
It is. Yeah,
or next to the water.
Oh, it's one of the best. It's one of the best images ever. Just that door, the stairs, and him. And it's just
so
like
poetic.
Oh.
It's such a vision, and that deserves the best director Oscar. Spielberg did a great job.
He has one for Schindler's List. We could have given one
from 5 years ago. Another war film, one of his actual serious films, but that image of the hand pressing against the wall, it reaches out, and he's so hesitant. He's not shaking though. Most actors would go, but people don't actually do that. He went like that, and then just so slowly press his hand against it, like an Arrival. If you've seen that, where Amy Adams is gently pressing her hand against the glass, and it feels so sensory in that one shot, so poetic. Like you said, that image of him just walking across, and my friend who I showed it to a couple of days ago just said, oh my god, when the staircase appeared.
It's breathtaking.
Just perfect. There's no perfect film. It's not a perfect film, but that's a perfect moment. So. Oh, it's just a gorgeous spectacle. And then Christoph's trying to convince him not to. And there's a line that Christoph says, which is it called Sea Haven?
Yes, it's Sea Haven.
Is that what it's called? Yeah. Whatever it's, yeah. So he says Sea Haven is the way the world should be. And I wonder what he meant by that. Like, does he mean that we should all be controlled? Or is he just reminding us as an audience that it's meant to be like this safe place where no one can get hurt, and you don't. Well, besides his father, obviously, is he trying to say that it's about about conformity? Is he trying to reinstall these values of the white nuclear family, going to work and saving up money and never going anywhere? Is that what it's about? What does he mean by that? And I'd love to meet the screenwriter and ask him.
Yes.
But no,
I need to find him. And I will let you know. I'll be like, hey, we need to yes.
Have a meeting. I mean, is he still working?
No idea. It's Andrew Niccol.
Andrew Niccol. I'm having a look now. I don't think so. I'll check the release date of the films he's working on. The last thing that he did was 6 years ago.
Well, I guess he's still active.
Wait, no. Oh, you're gonna like this. Wait, are they remaking Lords of War? Elliot, they're remaking Lords of War for some reason.
Well, he's working on a live-action animated film.
Sorry, but he's directing this. Wow, he's directing a sequel to a film that he wrote, and he's also doing the Monopoly movie. Oh, that's brilliant! He's written the Monopoly
this will be
movie.
like Truman Show 2.0.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, Kevin Hart's going to be in it.
Well, I mean,
maybe he'll take
the
90s comedy.
He did it with Robin. He did it with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, a film called I, Object, and another one called The Cross. So he's busy. So maybe he'll spare an hour or 2 or 3 to be on your podcast. That'd be great. You don't lose anything by asking. So you wouldn't have to worry about that. I'm just checking if there's any more notes I've got that are worth discussing. Oh, the moon. That spectacle as well. So the first time I watched it, I didn't realize it was a TV show. It's quite embarrassing to say. I didn't clock it until they actually said, "Look at the scale of it." Beaming live on the last 30 years. The moon looked fake to me, and I thought that's 90s CG. They've had correct force perspective since film began, and I was like, "Oh, that moon looks so fake. How silly." No, it's silly me.
I mean, I'll be honest. The moon in the Truman Show looks more realistic than the moon in a movie made in 2024 because that would be CGI, and the CGI these days is terrible.
Somehow
I don't know what they did wrong.
It's budget cuts, and more significant, it's time crunches and directors don't know what they're doing. That's the biggest issue. But when that moon was first shown as lightning, I picked up on it at the third time I watched it, I think it was. The lightning cast a light on the moon.
Oh, Lord.
How great is that? That's what I mean when we say every detail in this film is controlled. We really mean it. Like, if you watch the film and just look at objects around, you'll see the purpose in them. Like, a gown that Meryl wears is worn by one of the old ladies.
Yeah, because he said that everything is product placement, and like even all the costumes he said that are even worn by or for sale in the outside world. I'm like, that's so interesting. Which is wild to me because it is so, like you said, 50s nuclear family. Why would anyone in essentially the 90s be wearing that? Unless I know there are people that have that aesthetic that they like, but not everyone's going to be wearing that type of clothing. And we know for a fact in the 90s, if you watch a 90s movie, no one was wearing that clothing at all. It was grunge and punk and everything.
Yeah, it's not that, and maybe Peter Weir was trying to get us to go back to that. It's possible. One of my notes was that the film feels like a highlight reel that the studio would put on sale to people when the show ended. Is like, this was Truman's last week or so, however long the film takes place. Like, the film itself is that documentary showing Ed Harris's character and that's why the film That's why the film starts with the credits of Truman Burbank, as himself, and that sort of thing. And I thought, starring with Meryl, whatever. I thought that's so clever. That idea, I didn't come up with that. Someone else mentioned it in a video essay, and I thought that's such an exciting idea. That it's a highlight reel kind of thing for like people to watch.
That is interesting.
Because that makes us the audience of the actual product. It would be shown in theaters. It would be shown on show. It would be rerun. Rerun repeatedly. This is a fun idea to think about.
It just kind of blew my mind there for a second. Yeah, it's just
really. It's great. I wish I could say I came up with it.
It's just like we keep saying. You can spin the web as many different ways as you want. It's just.
Yeah, I mean, all the persons said, I can't remember who it was that said it, but just said, it feels like I'm watching the last week of his life after the show ended. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I was like, they put it in the cinemas everywhere. And people would go back to watch it. They'd be upset. And people get upset when shows get cancelled. People cry when the Big Bang Theory stops having episodes.
I wasn't a big fan of that show, so.
No, but people get upset, when Friends ends or Seinfeld. We can go back to I Love Lucy. But yeah, the reruns would have been shown forever, and it feels like it's gonna never stop.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it brilliant? Yeah, it's great. I have one more point, which I think I hope it's not as good as that. It's a great revelation, but the opening of the film shows Christoph discussing the lack of interest in VFX, the lack of interest in big scale films. They want people something genuine, and I think that's come true where we are now. I mean, if Dune 2 hadn't just come out and Oppenheimer hadn't just made $1 billion, I'd say definitely is staying that way. But I mean, obviously Oppenheimer didn't have any CGI in. It had visual effects, but it didn't have CGI, which is just a hell of an achievement, really, for any film that costs $100 million to not have to, not take that opportunity to use it. But he talks about people wanting to just focus on humans and something more genuine, and having films about just people interacting, watching the mundane. And I think it's coming true. And I hope it can stay that way.
Yes, because like the superhero fatigue, as I mentioned earlier, and the CGI looking bad. It's if you go back to the films of the 70s and the early 80s, right before CGI was there, they look fantastic. They look so real, and that's because they are. Like the original Star Wars trilogy looks like it takes place in the real world much more than the last 6 or 7 or 8 they've made now.
Maybe 2001: A Space Odyssey, it looks real. Like 2001: A Space Odyssey actually looks real, and that was made
Terminator
60 years ago.
looks real, and that's 1991. And I'm like,
Jurassic Park does not look real, the whole thing, but the T-Rex does. Thanks to that harsh lighting and the rain, it looks absolutely real. And Back to the Future 2 is behind you. In visual effects used properly, Truman Show uses them in a way that feels real. I can't picture the set of the Truman Show.
Even Saving Private Ryan that year is just very much practical. It's
great.
I just wish we would harken back to the days of practical effects.
Yeah, I mean, look at Furiosa. I haven't watched it, but the trailer didn't make me think I got to see it because the CG looked weak. That's no reason to not go and watch a film. I don't care about CG or visual effects primarily, but I thought that shows a lack of care. Maybe George Miller's getting old. Maybe the budget cuts. Maybe there's time crunches. But ultimately, Fury Road came out 9 years ago, and there are bits in that film that look real, which are heavily CG. And meanwhile, Furiosa looks like almost AI generated at points. In the trailer, I haven't watched the film, so I haven't got a proper opinion. But all the reviews I've heard from friends doesn't feel real. It's a real shame.
maybe these two, and the phenomenons of these films being phenomenons in the past 2 years, hopefully will just revive cinema, just in all aspects, from screenwriting to visual effects, from acting to directing to editing. It just all feels so fresh now, hopefully.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll stick to it.
Because the 2010s were great. Like, I mean, not I don't love the Oscars, but look at that list of nominees, not the winners. There's some great films in there, and some of the films that they didn't select and honor are even better. The fact that Portrait of a Lady on Fire got no nominations disgusts me. But it's been hyped up by everyone else, and there are so many other great films that have come out in the last few years, which will live on and be what we now are looking at as a Truman Show. Hopefully, maybe not that scale. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once has already sort of been forgotten.
Yeah, and that was made.
Really.
I think the visual effects were made on Adobe, and I've used Adobe, and it's like that's child's play, really. So.
And they're all self-trained, I heard.
And it's like, and the editor, when he won his Oscar, he said, "This is my second film I've ever made." And I'm like, yeah, it's just like, there's for the newbies, Just,
Truman Show was the screenwriter's second film as well.
You do not have to be a professional to make a good one. You just have to, the time, the dedication, you have to have the drive to make. Like, one day I would love to do film, but film school is just so expensive here in the States. And I told my friend, I'm like, my goal isn't to be like Spielberg or Scorsese. I said, you just need to make good films, and that's it. I said, you don't need the honors with it. You don't need any of that. Just make good films, and you will be fine. I said, that's it.
Yeah. And hopefully we can make a dream come true. This podcast is great. We meet the right people. I mean, I have access, and I'm going into my last year, so it's my last chance to do anything. I'm doing my first feature in 3 months' time, and it will not be great, but it will hopefully
I'll watch it.
be
I'll
fun
watch it.
and good. You can rip it apart on the podcast, but the people involved are lovely, and their ideas are so valuable to me. And maybe it'll be a good film. I hope it will be. I think everything in motion is looking good, but it won't be the Truman Show. It won't be a great film, but hopefully it'll make some people have a fun time.
That's all that matters.
We'll see. But the second one, people just get better and better. Apart from Jordan Peele, he's getting worse and worse. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's just an opinion, but we'll see. Yeah.
I think we've ran out of things to talk about on this film. 3 hours worth. Oh my gosh. I didn't mean to keep you up this late.
I've loved it. I'm going to see if my friends are awake and we can watch 8.5.
Jeez, you're going to keep going.
Always. I'm a night owl.
I am too, but I guess I'm going to eat some food and watch a movie. I don't know what I'm going to watch.
Please do.
I have no idea.
What are you going to watch?
I'm debating right now.
The Matrix. Why not? Just for your friend.
Know.
I'd recommend other films before that, but yeah, why not? It's a good companion film for this discussion. But yeah, and that one got 4 Oscars, which beats.
Yeah, I know. They're probably making up for the Truman Show. They're like, well, no,
they can't make up for that. Well done, Ed Harris. It should have won director, screenplay, picture, lead actor, and production design. Oh yeah, and Bizarre already had an Oscar at that point. 1 nomination and that one won.
I might watch Mississippi Burning.
Yeah, that's great film. Great film.
I love Gene Hackman, so I might watch that.
And he's brilliant.
And Frances McDormand. Oh, don't get me started on her. She's lovely.
It's
If
more.
I could,
This
if
is
I could
brilliant.
meet
And
her, I'd be like, listen, I'd love to talk. She's a great podcast guest on podcasts I've heard with her on it. I need to find out a way to contact her.
see who you can message. I mean, there's always room. People at this point in their lives, in their careers, when they've got 3 Oscars already, they're quite
She
happy to
has
just sort of
4.
chat to people.
Yes,
Is it 4
she
now?
won.
So
No, she's got
Fargo,
Fargo, 3
3
Billboards,
Billboards,
2 for
and
No Man
Land.
Land. She produced it as well. Yeah,
Oh, picture. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that.
yeah,
Thank you for teaching me something. 4 Oscars.
that's a lot. And her husband has Fargo and 3 for No Country. Yeah, he has 4 Oscars as well. Joel
Who's her
Cohen.
husband?
You didn't know they were married? She's married to one of the Coen brothers. Yeah.
It feels obvious now. I'm
Yeah,
quite embarrassed. Of course
they met on Blood Simple, their first film. That's yeah, and
'Cause
I
she's in
have a
most of
weird
them,
connection
really.
to the Coen brothers because have you seen the original Evil Dead from Sam Raimi? Well,
No, never.
it was
Never.
filmed in Morristown, Tennessee, which is my birthplace, and they were the
Oh, lovely.
editors for that film with Sam Raimi. So that's like my weird Coen brothers connection, even though it's like decades
That's
before
so
I was
cool.
born, but still, I'm just like, yes. And I love the Coen brothers.
They're great. Yeah, so Joel won for Fargo, like you say, in No Country. Well, he and his brother both got 3 Oscars
Yeah.
for it. So, yeah. Wow. So they both have 4. That's lovely.
8 Oscars probably on the mantle, just like.
Who needs that? I've got my flag. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And you've got the Jaws.
Yes,
Oh, it's a jigsaw.
I built both of these. I also have
That's
a
even cooler.
Ghostbusters one and a Breakfast Club one somewhere over.
Brilliant. Well, next time you have me on, I'll show you all of my posters as
Oh
well.
yeah, I've got the stuff. Every week I come with something new. I just bring in something new.
Brilliant. Okay. That's lovely. Well, I really enjoyed
I
this,
did too.
but I'm gonna go make
Me
some
too.
food and watch a film.
Well,
great.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much for having me, and thank you for listening to my voice and Asia's voice for this long.
It's been great. It's just there's just so much to talk about.
So much. We won't find a film this dense. So, yeah, well done.
We might. Who knows?
Well, have a think about the next one you want to do, and I'll watch it and we'll work out something amazing. Awesome. No, thank you again,
You too.
and have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Wow, great meeting you. By the way, everyone listening, this is the first time we've met, so it's quite interesting how we've managed to get along so well. It's quite nervous meeting people normally.
Like a Southerner and a Brit, who'd have thunk? But it's like,
who'd have thunk? I'm from the south here as well, so there's a bit of a relationship there. That's great. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, come back again.
Have a good night. Hopefully, I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Wow.
Bye.
Bye bye.